Chapter 631. The latest chapter of this book is not finished yet. For more exciting content, please scan the QR code below to download the app. The novel will be updated more quickly. Millions of novels will be read for free. You can find all the novels that you can't find on the internet here. Gu Jiao was in a bad mood. She really wanted to open Mu Qingchen's brain to see what was going on inside. Why did he suspect that she had this disease? Mu Qingchen, what's wrong? Is there something wrong with the medicine? Gu Jiao took a deep breath. Yes, thank you. Mu Qingchen was baffled. Thank you. Why are you gritting your teeth in anger? It was not him who made her hemorrhoids attack. Mu Qingchen knew that it was very embarrassing to be found out, so he turned his back to her. By the way, how did you get this disease at such a young age? Gu Jiao's face darkened. Yes, how did I get this disease at such a young age? Of course I have to ask you. Gu Jiao didn't plan to live in the dormitory, so there were no spare clothes in the dormitory. It was inconvenient for her to go out in this outfit. Mu Qingchen sympathized with his roommate's experience, so he generously asked someone to fetch his cloak from the carriage and handed it to Gu Jiao. In the afternoon, Mr. Jiang and Mr. Gao had classes. Mr. Wu took the initiative to ask for a leave for Gu Jiao. In fact, Gu Jiao was more resilient than Mr. Wu thought. After an hour of rest, she was fine again. However, there was a free leave, so it would be a waste not to take it. Gu Jiao didn't have lunch in the canteen. She went straight back to the house she rented. Although she had left, the discussion about her had just begun. In the canteen. Hey, have you heard? A new student came to Mingxin Hall this morning and tamed Mr. Wu's Horse King. What Horse King? It's the wild horse that Wu Fuzi won from a martial arts competition. The dark horse that broke one of Mr. Wu's front teeth. That should be it. Mr. Wu taught it for a long time, but he couldn't do anything about it. Who did you say tamed it? A new student. What is his name? Xiao Lulang. I've never heard of it. Are there any young masters with the surname Xiao in Chengdu? He's not from Chengdu, he's from another country. Jin Nation? No. State of Liang. It's the state of Zhao. Zhao State. A citizen of a lower country? How could this be? Was there something wrong with the horse? Was he injured by Wu Fuzi? Those who had not seen it with their own eyes would not be able to imagine the scene at that time. Only the students of Ming Xian Hall and Ming Yu Hall had witnessed Gu Jiao training the horse. They were very sure that not only had the horse not been injured by Wu Fuzi, but it had also been beaten up by Wu Fuzi, and had even released some of its anger for revenge. No one present thought that Gu Jiao had won by luck. Gu Jiao didn't beat it up. She just knocked it down again and again until it lost its temper. This sounded easy, but it was no less difficult than these weak scholars becoming the martial scholar. The boy named Xiao Lulang was as ruthless as he could be. He was ruthless to the horse and even more ruthless to himself. Who would dare to provoke him in the future? In short, the people of Ming Xian Hall and Ming Yu Hall did not dare to. The matter did not end hastily at this point. Mu Qingchen handed Li Hongyi and the others over to Wu Fuzi. The 6 of them were first intimidated by Mu Qingchen, and then they were severely shocked by the whole process of Gu Jiao training the horse. How could they dare to lie? They obediently told Wu Fuzi that they had tricked Gu Jiao into becoming the Horse King. Stupid. Wu Fuzi was furious. Thanks to Xiao Liulong's ability. If it were anyone else in the academy, they would have died under the horse's hooves. Wu Fuzi thought of the daughter of the Su family who had almost died, and his back was covered with a layer of cold sweat. This matter could not be tolerated, and Wu Fuzi reported it to the dean. After the dean understood the situation, he suspended Li Hongyi, the instigator of the incident, and severely warned the other 5 people. All of them were recorded with a major demerit, criticized by the whole academy, and punished to clean the latrines. And the letter of repentance, hand it all in tomorrow morning, the dean said sternly. The 6 people left the dean's office gloomily. Gu Jiao knew nothing about the follow-up of this matter. She was leisurely lying on the rattan chair in the courtyard and enjoying the cool air with Gu Yen. The climate in Shangdu was humid than in the Zhao country, and the air was sticky when it was hot. Gu Jiao fanned Gu Yen. "How is it? Is it cool?" "It's cool," Gu Yen said weakly. Gu Jiao touched his neck. There was no sweat, so she put down the palm leaf fan. Suddenly, there was a knock at the door. "Who is it?" Master Lu came out of the backyard with a wood-chopping axe. "I'll open the door," Gu Jiao said. The door was unlatched, and the other party probably knocked on the door out of courtesy. Gu Jiao walked over and opened the wooden door. A black horse head came in. Then, Gu Jiao saw Wu Fuzi standing beside the horse with a bloody nose and a swollen face. His right arm was hanging on his neck with gauze. Gu Jiao asked strangely, "This is... what's going on?" Wu Fuzi smiled embarrassedly. "You tamed this horse. I discussed with the academy and decided to give it to you as a reward." The truth was, after Gu Jiao left, Wu Fuzi thought that the horse had been tamed, so he ran over to ride it. As a result, he was miserably thrown by it. The dean was also there at that time, and he was almost kicked away by the horse's hooves. If Wu Fuzi hadn't used himself as a shield, the dean would have broken an arm. The dean said that he never wanted to see this horse again. Wu Fuzi didn't dare to see it again. Gu Jiao paused and said, "But my family is poor. I'm afraid we can't afford to raise this horse." They didn't have enough money with them, so they had to be frugal with everything. "I'll pay for the horse," Wu Fuzi said. "Please take this horse." After it was defeated, it lost all its face. It was so angry that it went back to the stable and bullied the other horses. The academy couldn't tolerate it anymore. In the end, Gu Jiao got a horse from Wu Fuzi for free, plus 10 taels of silver for feed every month. When it was close to evening, Madame Nan came back. Madame Nan was wearing night clothes. Master Lu said in the morning that Madame Nan went out to do something, but looking at her clothes, it wasn't a small matter. Madame Nan went into the room and drank a few cups of water. Then she said to Gu Jiao while panting, "Jiao Jiao, I used some old connections to contact a kitchen manager in the State Preceptor Hall. He will come to the house later to discuss with you about going to the State Preceptor Hall." So this was the reason. Gu Jiao looked at Madame Nan and said, "Madame Nan, go change your clothes first. I'll go get some water for you." Madame Nan had been running for a day and a night. She was soaked and didn't feel well. Gu Jiao went to the kitchen to get some water for Madame Nan. When Madame Nan finished bathing and changing her clothes, the manager of the State Preceptor Hall also came to visit. He was a fat, middle-aged man with a decent appearance. He wore a gray robe similar to the disciples of the State Preceptor Hall that Gu Jiao saw that day. There were some differences in the embroidery on the belt and the cuffs. "This is Steward Liao," Madame Nan introduced. Gu Jiao greeted, "Steward Liao." Madame Nan smiled and said to Steward Liao, "This is my adopted son, Little Six." In order to make things easier, Madame Nan tried to explain the relationship between Gu Jiao and herself. Steward Liao looked at Gu Jiao lightly and said, "He's the one who wants to enter the State Preceptor Hall? What is he going to do in the State Preceptor Hall? Don't implicate me because he's doing something dirty." "Why would I?" Madame Nan said pleasantly. "He's just curious and wants to go in to broaden his knowledge." "Don't worry, Steward Liao. Just because we came from the same sect, you should trust me." So he was from the same sect as Madame Nan. It was true that they were from the same sect. But in reality, Steward Liao was only an outer sect disciple. He couldn't curry favor with Madame Nan. But as the saying goes, every dog has its day. Now both of them had left the sect. He had entered the State Preceptor Hall and was doing well. But this former direct disciple of the inner sect still had to beg under his name. Because of this momentary sense of superiority, Steward Liao decided that he could help her this once. Steward Liao said in an arrogant tone, "I'll say the ugly words first. I'll only bring you in for a walk. You can't steal inside or do anything that's detrimental to the State Preceptor Hall. Madame Nan smiled and said, "Look at what you're saying. With an expert like Steward Liao watching, what can my adopted son do?" Who didn't like flattery? Steward Liao laughed unscrupulously. Madame Nan took out 2 gold bars from the house and handed them to him. Steward Liao raised his eyebrows and put the gold bars into his sleeves without any hesitation. If he only took the gold bars, it would be fine. But he inadvertently glanced and saw the Horse King eating grass in the backyard. He pointed with his hand and said, "That horse, I want it." Madame Nan didn't go to the backyard just now. But now that she looked carefully, she realized that there was an extra black horse in the house. It bullied the horses in the stable and people in the field. But it was very obedient here. Gu Yen could even brush its hair. Gu Jiao didn't tie it up. Perhaps because it sensed that someone wanted it, it stopped eating the grass and walked through the central room with wild and elegant steps towards Steward Liao. Steward Liao looked at the pair of bright eyes and was delighted. This horse has intelligence. The Horse King did have intelligence. And it was extremely intelligent. It walked in front of Steward Liao and slowly turned around. Steward Liao admired its strong body greedily. This was a first-class Horse King. That's it. That's it. Before he could finish speaking, the Horse King kicked Steward Liao away mercilessly with its hoof. Gu Jiao, Madame Nan. Gu Jiao looked at Steward Liao, who fell outside the door with his tongue out and eyes rolled back. She asked confusedly, "Madame Nan, do you think I can still go to the State Preceptor Palace?" Madame Nan was even more confused than her. "You can go in your dreams." The Horse King didn't know that it had caused a disaster and was still jumping around in the yard. It seemed to be quite proud of itself. Gu Jiao turned around and looked at it with a dark face. "Can't you pretend to leave with him and then sneak back?" It had to be a scheming horse. Gu Jiao crossed her arms and glared at it fiercely. As she glared, she started to feel that something was wrong. The Horse King's eyes started to show a hint of grievance. Then, it looked like it was about to cry. Gu Jiao's delicate body shook and her face was full of rejection. "You can't do this. You're a Horse King, not a little princess." Horse King. Sob, sob, sob. Gu Jiao. Steward Liao was embarrassed after being kicked by the Horse King. His whole body was in pain. No matter how Madame Nan tried to talk to him, he refused to help her. Madame Nan was helpless and could only watch as Steward Liao left. "Gold bar." Gu Jiao called out to him. "What?" Steward Liao frowned and looked at this kid. Gu Jiao said, "You didn't bring it to the State Preceptor Palace. Return the gold bar." Steward Liao. "Very well, you can forget about entering the State Preceptor Palace in this lifetime." Steward Liao gritted his teeth and sat on the horse carriage angrily. He was furious when he thought about what happened today. The coachman asked, "Steward Liao, are we going back to the State Preceptor Palace?" Steward Liao said angrily, "If we're not going back to the State Preceptor Palace, where do you think we're going?" The coachman hurriedly said, "I've said too much." The coachman rushed the horse carriage all the way back to the State Preceptor Palace. "Are you trying to drive me to my death?" The coachman slowed down. "Do you want to walk until tomorrow if you're so slow?" The coachman sped up again. "Do you know how to drive a horse carriage? Do you know how to drive?" The horse carriage finally arrived at the State Preceptor Palace amidst Steward Liao's scolding and fussing. With Steward Liao's status, he wasn't qualified to walk through the main entrance. He couldn't even sit in a horse carriage and walk through the main entrance. When he reached the main entrance, a plain but majestic horse carriage drove towards the State Preceptor Palace's main entrance. Steward Liao's arrogance and annoyance disappeared as he politely bowed to the horse carriage. The horse carriage didn't stop and entered the State Preceptor Palace without any obstructions. The coachman was new and didn't know what was going on. Even the inner disciples of the State Preceptor Palace had to get off the horse carriage and walk. Who had the guts to enter directly from the main entrance in a horse carriage? "Steward Liao, who is that?" the coachman asked. Steward Liao looked at the horse carriage that was gradually driving away and said enviously, "Who else could it be? The chess master of the 6 nations, old Mr. Meng." The state preceptor likes to learn from others. As long as old Mr. Meng is in Shangdu, he will be invited to the palace to play chess every month. Remember to be respectful when you see old Mr. Meng in the future. He is an important guest of the State Preceptor Palace. The latest chapter of this book is not finished yet. For more exciting content, please scan the QR code below to download the app. Novels are updated at a faster rate. Millions of novels are free to read. Novels with connotations that can't be found on the internet are all available here. https://www.zhbqg.com/89642_826/1079704929. HTML Genius memorized this website's address in a second. www.zhbqg.com Biku Gu mobile reading website, m. zhbqg.com. Chapter 632. Please scan the QR code below to download the app for more exciting content. The novel will be updated more quickly. Millions of novels can be read for free. There are all kinds of novels that can't be found online. Since Steward Liao's method didn't work, Gu Jiao decided to think of another way. The first person she thought of was Mu Qingchen. From what Mu Qingchen said to her that day, she could guess that Mu Qingchen himself couldn't enter the State Master Hall, but it didn't mean that he didn't know how to enter the hall. Gu Jiao lay on the bed with one hand behind her head. She looked at the top of the tent and said, "Okay, I'll choose you." The next day, Gu Jiao got up early. She went to see Gu Yen first and then went to Chenqiong Academy with Gu Shaoshun. Gu Jiao became famous in the grassland yesterday. As soon as she entered the academy today, she felt the attention from all directions. The people of Bright Moon Hall and Bright Heart Hall had seen her. As for the students of the other 10 halls, although they hadn't seen her with their own eyes, the birthmark on her face was too easy to recognize. There's a red birthmark on the left side of her face. This news spread throughout the academy within a day. Therefore, all the teachers and students in the academy knew her. Among this group of people, some were afraid, some were simply curious, and of course, some didn't believe that she was so capable. They just thought that she was lucky and scoffed at her. Gu Jiao didn't care about any of them. She went to their respective classrooms with Gu Shaoshun. The seats in the classrooms were basically fixed, but if they changed privately, the teacher wouldn't say anything. Mu Qingchen hadn't come yet. Gu Jiao didn't know where he would sit. Zhong Ding waved at her from his original seat and patted the stool next to him, indicating that he had left a seat for her. Gu Jiao didn't sit with Zhong Ding. Instead, she chose a seat in the last row and sat down. The seat next to her was empty. Mu Qingchen should sit there. Gu Jiao put away her bag, took out her writing brush, ink, paper, and inkstone, and pointed at her classmate in the front row. His classmate turned his head and looked at Gu Jiao nervously. Brother Xiao, what's the matter?" Gu Jiao said, "Let me copy your homework." His classmates. Her classmate handed her homework to Gu Jiao. Yesterday afternoon, Gu Jiao asked for leave. She didn't know what Teacher Gao and Teacher Jiang taught, but she still did her homework. She was a good student who abided by the rules. Gu Jiao finished copying the homework and returned it to her classmate in the front row. "Thanks." No need to thank me," his classmate stammered. Gu Jiao glanced at her. "Why are you so nervous?" "I'm not going to eat you." "Oh, I'm not nervous." "Don't be nervous." Her classmate put away the homework that Gu Jiao had returned. She dipped the brush in ink and put it directly into the homework. Gu Jiao. Originally, there were more people in the class who ignored and looked down on her, but after seeing her tame the Horse King, everyone began to fear her. Zhong Ding was fine. Perhaps it was because he and Gu Jiao knew each other early and lived in the same dormitory as Gu Jiao's wife's brother. Although Gu Shaoshun didn't live in the same dormitory, they were closer than ordinary classmates. Zhong Ding walked over and leaned on Gu Jiao's desk. He whispered to Gu Jiao, "Xiao Lulang, how did you calculate that the answer to yesterday's question was 19? He didn't believe it at first, but when Teacher Gao checked the answer in class, he knew that Xiao Lulang was right. No, Xiao Lulang didn't calculate it. Zhongding whispered. Did you peek at Teacher Gao's answer? Gu Jiao glanced at him indifferently. Yes, I saw the answer. Zhongding was relieved. I knew it. It was such a difficult question, and no one in the class could answer it correctly. How did you guess it? Well, if there's nothing else, I'll go sit down. Wait. Gu Jiao stopped him. What's wrong? Zhongding turned around and asked. Why isn't Mu Qingchen here yet? Don't you know? Know what? He may not come today. Old Master Meng is playing chess with the Dean in the Immortal Wan Pavilion. Young Master Qingchen went to watch. Which old Master Meng? The chess sage of the Six Kingdoms. Don't tell me you haven't heard of him. He's from the Zhao Kingdom. Because he's good at chess, the king of the Yan Kingdom made an exception and invited him to live in Shangdu. Oh, this old Master Meng. Gu Jiao had heard of him before. Old Master Meng rarely goes out of the inner city. Even if he does, almost no one is qualified to play chess with him. This is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. No wonder young Master Qingchen went to watch and learn. I want to go too, but I don't dare to skip class. I'll get a demerit. If she wanted a demerit, then forget it. She planned to go to the Immortal Wan Pavilion to find Mu Qingchen. Everyone, Master Jiang went to the Immortal Wan Pavilion. It's Master Wu's class in the morning again. Everyone in the Bright Heart Hall cheered. Gu Jiao roughly understood that Master Wu's class was similar to the physical education class in her previous life. Everyone loved Master Wu's class. Master Wu was a good and considerate teacher. Even though he broke one of his arms, he still took the place of Master Wu who couldn't attend class. Master Wu, can we ask for leave? A student said, we ate something bad. Master Wu waved his hand. Go. Not long after, a few more students came over. Master Wu, we also have a stomachache. Master Wu nodded. Yes, it's approved. Wu Fuzi was a rare understanding person. He had a stomachache because he wanted to watch the chess sages of the Six Nations play chess. Zhongding pulled on Gu Jiao's sleeve. Brother Xiao, they're all going. Let's go too. Will we get a demerit? Gu Jiao asked. Zhongding hurriedly said, No. Since Master Wu agreed to take leave, we won't get a demerit. Gu Jiao raised her eyebrows. That's feasible. Zhongding and Gu Jiao walked over. Before Zhongding could speak, Master Wu said, You also ate something bad? Got it. Go. Zhongding chuckled and went to the Immortal Wan Pavilion with Gu Jiao through the academy's back door. The Immortal Wan Pavilion wasn't far. After exiting the back door, they turned left and walked east for a mile. After crossing a street and passing through an alley, they could see the Immortal Wan Pavilion signboard. Only the Qianqiong Academy knew about the chess game between old Mr. Meng and the Dean. Therefore, those who came to watch were all teachers and students of the academy. Most of the teachers went upstairs while the students crowded downstairs. Suddenly, an arrogant shout came from the alley. Don't you have eyes? Why did you bump into me? Sorry. Yes. Can't you speak properly? You're a stutterer. Ha, he really is a stutterer. Zhongding stopped and said to Gu Jiao, It's Zhou Tong and the others. Those are the students of the Wuyue Academy. Gu Jiao didn't know the students of the Wuyue Academy, but she knew the one called Zhou Tong. He was her classmate in the front row. He had just lent her his homework this morning. The one who was pointed at by the students of the Wuyue Academy and scolded as a little stutterer was him. Of course, Zhou Tong didn't stutter. He only stuttered when he was nervous. Zhongding said anxiously, The Wuyue Academy used to be a martial arts club. They focus on the martial arts examination. All their students are troublemakers. They are arrogant and despotic. Our academy is afraid of them. The leading student of the Wuyue Academy grabbed Zhou Tong's hair with one hand and lifted him up. He pointed at his shoes and said, "Lick it clean. Don't go overboard." Zhou Tong's companion said. A student of the Wuyue Academy lifted his leg and kicked his companion who was speaking. With a painful cry, the Wuyue Academy student was kicked away by a figure who had appeared out of nowhere. The 4 students of the Chenqiong Academy were shocked. Xiao Lulang. Gu Jiao looked coldly at the Wuyue Academy student who grabbed Zhou Tong. "Let him go. Don't make me say it again." The other party looked at Gu Jiao from head to toe. His gaze landed on Gu Jiao's left cheek. "Where did this ugly boy come from? Do you think I'll let him go just because you asked me to? Who will lick him if I let him go? You. You want to lick him? Fine, I'll fulfill your wish." Gu Jiao said coldly. She lifted her hand and chopped down, hitting the nerve on the other party's arm. The other party's arm went numb and Zhou Tong fell down. Gu Jiao pulled Zhou Tong behind her and lifted her leg to kick the other party's chest. The remaining Wuyue Academy students saw this and attacked Gu Jiao fiercely. Gu Jiao took down one person with one move. In the blink of an eye, the 7 of them fell to the ground and cried out in pain. The Wuyue Academy student who called himself Young Master finally felt a trace of fear. He covered his chest and got up. He glared at Gu Jiao fiercely and stepped back unconsciously. "Who are you? You bastard!" Gu Jiao grabbed his hair and kneed his abdomen. He was in so much pain that he bent over like a prawn in a steamer. His shoes fell to the ground. Gu Jiao threw him to the side of the shoes. "If you want to lick it yourself." Then, she said to Zhou Tong and the others behind her, "What are you waiting for? Hurry up and follow me." Zhou Tong looked at the Wuyue Academy students who were beaten up in disbelief. His eyes fell on Gu Jiao's cold back and nodded. "Ah, good. She's coming," he said to his companions. "Hurry up. Follow me." They stepped over the bodies of the Wuyue Academy students and quickly followed Gu Jiao. Zhongding also followed. The way they looked at Gu Jiao was different from before. They looked at her with admiration and a little intimacy. Zhou Tong kept stealing glances at Gu Jiao. "What's the matter?" Gu Jiao was impatient. She glanced at him and Zhou Tong's heart almost jumped out of his throat. But when he thought of what happened in the alley, Zhou Tong felt that he should not be so scared. "Thank you. Also, I'm sorry." Gu Jiao said, "Why do you always apologize to people?" Zhou Tong said embarrassedly, I was forced to apologize to them. Actually, I didn't step on them. They deliberately stretched out their feet to trip me. The Wuyue Academy students like to bully us." He realized that his words were a little off topic and quickly went back to the topic. "I apologize to you because I misunderstood you." He thought that he was the same as the Wuyue Academy students, violent and domineering. But reality proved that he was not. His martial arts were not used to bully people. You don't like to fight, right? You fought with the Horse King yesterday to save Miss Su. You beat them up today to protect us? Brother Xiao, you are a warm-hearted person." Gu Jiao, who was suddenly given a good person card, was speechless. "Do you have some misunderstanding about what a good person is?" They were delayed in the alley for a while. When Gu Jiao and the others arrived at the Shenwan Pavilion, the game was already over. Old Master Meng had also left in the carriage. Zhongding thought of the missed opportunity to meet Old Master Meng and could not help but burst into tears. "I'm so miserable that I couldn't see Old Master Meng. This is the closest I've ever been to Old Master Meng. I won't have a second chance in my life. Woo-woo." Gu Jiao did not care about Old Master Meng. She came to find Mu Qingchen. Unexpectedly, Mu Qingchen also returned to the inner city. Gu Jiao suddenly thought of something. "We will be given a demerit for skipping classes. Why won't Mu Qingchen? Did this guy have a special ability to skip classes?" Zhongding said enviously, "Although he doesn't come to class, he always gets first place in every exam. How can they give him a demerit? 3 demerits and he will be expelled from the academy. He is such a good seedling. Do you want to expel him or not? So the dean specially allowed him to study at home. Gu Jiao asked, don't the other students have any objections? Zhong Ding sighed. If they have any objections, they can ask Mu Qingchen to take the exam. So far, no one has beaten him. Gu Jiao touched her chin. Is he so good? Zhong Ding wiped his tears and said, but I heard that he is not going back to study this time. Something happened in his family, so he has to leave Chengdu temporarily. Gu Jiao was shocked. So, I won't see him for a long time? Then how could she enter the state preceptor hall? It was a dark and windy night. In a corner of a women's academy in the inner city, in a low-key but luxurious courtyard, a little black baby, who almost blended into the night, sneaked out with a small bag in his arms. The bad brother-in-law went to take a bath. He wanted to take the opportunity to slip away. He wanted to find Jiao Jiao. The little black baby went through the dog hole, climbed the tree, climbed over the wall, jumped down the tree, and climbed down in one go. Finally, he got out of the academy. He came to the vast sky. He stood on the quiet street. Jiao Jiao, your favorite little man is here. Squeak. Little black baby fell and fell face first onto the ground. Whoosh. A carriage galloped over. If the coachman had not seen the bag, he would have run over it. He quickly pulled the reins and stopped the horse. What's wrong? The person in the carriage asked. Master, there's a child. The coachman looked for a long time before he realized that there was a child under the bag. The child was too dark. Go and see. The person in the carriage said. Yes. The coachman jumped off the carriage and walked toward the child. He wondered if the child was unconscious or dead. Just as he squatted down to check the child's breath, the child suddenly raised his head. Mother! The coachman was so scared that he ran 10 meters away. The person in the carriage heard the commotion and raised his hand to lift the curtain. What's wrong? Xiao He got up from the ground, picked up the small bundle and hugged it in his arms. He looked at old Master Meng in the car cutely. Grandpa, can you take me to Jiao Jiao? Digression. Well, at the end of the month, I still have to remind you to vote. The latest chapter of this book is not finished yet. For more exciting content, please scan the QR code below to download the app. Novels are updated faster and more complete. Millions of novels are free to read. Novels with connotations that can't be found online are all available here. https://www.zhbqg.com/89642_826/107969482. HTML Genius memorized this website's address in 1 second. www.zhbqg.com Bikuj mobile reading website. zhbqg.com. Chapter 633. The latest chapter of this book is not finished yet. For more exciting content, please scan the QR code below to download the app. Novels are updated faster. Millions of novels are free to read. Novels with content that can't be found on the internet are all available here. Old Master Meng looked at the dark little boy. He looked less than 5 years old. His eyes were big and bright, as if they were filled with all the simplicity and beauty in the world. Old Master Meng was not a compassionate person. Of course, he was not a cold-blooded person who would ignore a helpless child. Under normal circumstances, it was best for him to report such things to the authorities. Old Master Meng thought for a while and asked, "Did you come out alone? Where's your family?" Xiao He rolled his eyes. "I can't say bad brother-in-law. Otherwise, what if Grandpa sends me back to bad brother-in-law?" Xiao He hugged the small bundle in his arms and said seriously, I'm going to find my family." "Where is your family?" Old Master Meng asked. "At Qianxiong Academy," Xiao He said. He knew Jiao Jiao went to bad brother-in-law's academy. Bad brother-in-law thought he didn't know what the academy was called. Humph, he was the one who put away the document. How could he not know? Coincidentally, old Mr. Meng had just gone to the vicinity of the Chenqiong Academy and played a game of chess with the Chenqiong Academy's teacher. Old Master Meng couldn't help laughing. He asked the little boy, "Chenqiong Academy is in the outer city. Since your family is in the outer city, how did you get into the inner city?" Xiao Hei's eyes darted around again. "Ran Yazi brought me here." Ran Yazi was bad brother-in-law. It turned out that he was a kidnapped child. No wonder he was running on the street so late at night. He must have just escaped from Ran Yazi. Old Master Meng said to Xiao Hei, "Get in the car first." Xiao Hei hugged the small bundle and ran over. He first threw the bundle up, and then he climbed up with his short legs, huffing and puffing. Old Master Meng was amused by his charmingly naive look. "What's your name?" Xiao Hei patted the dust off his body and picked up the bundle on the outside of the car. He got in and said to Old Master Meng, "I'm Jing Kong." Mr. Meng said, "Jing Kong. What a special name. Why does it sound like a Buddhist name?" Little Jing Kong climbed onto the bench beside Old Master Meng and sat down obediently. Old Mr. Meng couldn't help but tease him, "Aren't you afraid that I'm also a brat?" Little Jing Kong shook his head like a rattle drum and said seriously, "You're so kind, sage-like, and righteous. How can you be a prostitute?" The highest level of flattery was to flatter you with whatever you lack. To be honest, old Mr. Meng did not have the demeanor of an immortal at all, nor did he have a benevolent countenance. He looked just like an ordinary little old man. However, the old man's carriage was obviously very expensive. The child could not afford to sit in such an expensive carriage. Old Master Meng was once again amused by little Jing Kong. Men who had reached the age of knowing their own destiny would have more self-awareness. Even if they were 100 years old, they would still be the same. That was, although they were so ordinary, they were so confident. "This little fellow has a good eye." He had the demeanor of an immortal and was full of righteousness. The coachman couldn't bear to watch. "Little fellow, you're black-hearted and black-hearted. How can my master praise you like that?" "And my master, don't you know what you look like?" Old Master Meng said, "You said your family is in Chenqiong Academy. Is he a student of the academy or?" Little Jing Kong said, "A student." Old Master Meng was confused. "There's a student named Jiao Jiao? Wasn't that a girl's name?" Chenqiong Academy was full of male students. Cough. Little Jing Kong regretted his slip of the tongue just now and hurried to remedy it. "Her name is Lulang. Jiao Jiao is her nickname." Old Master Meng's mouth twitched. Why would a grown man have such a strange nickname? Old Master Meng thought about it again and finally decided to send the little fellow to the yamen and let the yamen handle this matter. However, since Chenqiong Academy was in the outer city, the yamen in the inner city usually did not handle disputes in the outer city. Old Master Meng lifted the curtain and ordered the coachman who had returned to the outer seat, "Go to the outer city, 3 Flowers Street." Chenqiong Academy was on 3 Flowers Street. The coachman whispered, "Master, at this time, the inner city gate should be closed, right?" Old Master Meng said, "It's okay. Tell them to use the State Preceptor's Passage." The State Preceptor's Hall was very powerful and had an exclusive passage at each city gate. As an honored guest of the State Preceptor's Hall, Old Master Meng could use the passage of the State Preceptor's Hall if there was an emergency. The coachman drove the carriage to the inner city gate in the south. He flashed Old Master Meng's token and used the passage of the State Preceptor's Hall to get out of the city. The carriage rushed all the way to 3 Flowers Street. Little Jing Kong was very sleepy. As soon as he got on the carriage, he began to peck rice like a little chicken. After pecking for a while, he leaned his head on Old Master Meng's arm and fell asleep. Old Master Meng knocked on the door gently and said to the coachman, "Slow down. He's asleep." "Yes." The coachman answered. After a while, the coachman said to Old Master Meng, "Master, we're almost at 3 Flower Street. Which part of 3 Flower Street are we going to?" "The yamen of 3 Flower Street," Old Master Meng said. This child was kidnapped by a trafficker. His family must be very worried. Maybe they had already reported the case to the yamen. It was the best choice to send him to the yamen now. What's more, this child was very strange. Old Master Meng always felt that he didn't tell the whole truth. It was better to leave it to the yamen. Old Master Meng's idea was good. However, God's plan was better than man's. A group of robbers appeared in Chengdu, which had always been strict. Old Master Meng, who was in a luxurious carriage and didn't have any guards with him, undoubtedly became the target of the robbers. There were 10 robbers in total. All of them were masked and holding big knives. It was obvious that they didn't come with good intentions. Old Master Meng saw that the situation was not good. He hurriedly said to the coachman, "Turn around. Go back." The robbers who were lying in ambush suddenly rushed out. There were 5 of them and blocked their way. "If you don't stop the carriage, we'll shoot." The leader of the robbers threatened. Old Master Meng looked back through the gap of the curtain. These were not ordinary robbers. They were a group of desperados. If they fell into their hands, not only would they be robbed of their money, but they would also be killed. Old Master Meng made a prompt decision. "Don't stop. Rush over." Only one of the 10 robbers was holding a bow and arrow. Now that they had turned around, the back of the carriage should be able to block the arrows for a while. Old Master Meng's horses were all good horses. As long as they rushed over, they could get rid of them. The coachman gritted his teeth. "Go." The carriage began to run at full speed. "Boss." They ran away. One of the robbers said, "Ha." The leader of the robbers grabbed the bow and arrow from the hand of one of his men. He aimed at the carriage and shot. What he shot was not the back of the carriage, but the wheels. With 2 loud cracking sounds, the wheels on the right side of the carriage broke, and the carriage flipped over without warning. Old Master Meng hurriedly protected the child in his arms. The carriage turned over and the 3 of them fell out of the carriage. Old Master Meng said to the coachman, "Go quickly. Go and report to the yamen." "Master." "Go." "Yes." The coachman took a horse and went to the side of the forest. The leader of the robbers sent one of his men to chase after the coachman. The rest of the robbers rode forward and surrounded Old Master Meng. Old Master Meng fell in a very embarrassing way, but there was no fear in his eyes. He looked at the robbers coldly. "Don't you want money? I'll give it to you. That's straightforward." The leader of the robbers carried a big knife on his shoulder and looked at him carelessly. "I don't want to kill anyone today. Consider yourself lucky. Give me the money." Old Master Meng took off his money bag and threw it to him. The leader of the robbers opened it and looked at it. He immediately said with disdain, "So little." "Boss." The robber next to him pointed at little Jing Kong in Old Master Meng's arms. "There's a child." The leader of the robbers quickly looked at little Jing Kong. Old Master Meng covered little Jing Kong with his sleeves. The robber said, "It's a boy. Do you remember that person? Didn't he always want a son? Let's sell this boy to him." The leader of the robbers frowned and said, "It's so black. Can we sell it?" The robber laughed and said, "It'll be white after we wash it." "That's fine. It's better than nothing." The leader of the robbers pointed at Old Master Meng with a long knife and said, "Bring him here." Old Master Meng protected little Jing Kong and said, "If you want money, I have it at home. Follow me to get it." The leader of the robbers sneered and said, "Do I look so easy to fool? Follow you to get it? Wait for the authorities to find us? You." He pointed at the robber next to him. "Bring the child here." "Yes." The robber got off the horse and went to Old Master Meng's arms to grab little Jing Kong. Old Master Meng blocked him with his hand. The leader of the robbers said, "Don't break his arm. He can't be sold." "Yes, boss." The robber pulled out the long knife at his waist and chopped at Old Master Meng's hand fiercely. Since he couldn't take the young one, he would chop the old one. Anyway, the old one couldn't be sold for money. Just as the long saber was about to fall, an austere eagle's cry suddenly came from the sky. Before anyone could react to where the eagle's cry came from, they saw a black shadow swooping down from the night sky. Like a black lightning bolt, it whizzed towards the man holding the saber. In the next second, the handle of his knife fell. He covered his eyes and fell to the ground. My eyes. The gerfalcon pecked out one of his eyes. Seeing this, the leader of the robbers pulled his bow and arrow and aimed at the gerfalcon. At this moment, little Jing Kong woke up. He opened his eyes and saw that someone was going to shoot little Nine. He jumped up and said, "Don't shoot little Nine. Otherwise, I won't be polite to you." Who would listen to a child's words? The leader of the robbers pulled his bow fully. Little Jing Kong took out the black fire pearl stolen from his bad brother-in-law and threw it out. With a bang, the air was filled with the strong smell of sulfur. Little Jing Kong looked at the leader of the robbers, who was unharmed. "You threw it in the wrong direction." Old Master Meng, who was turned into charcoal by the explosion, spat out a mouthful of black smoke expressionlessly. "Oh, my bad, my bad." Little Jing Kong scratched his little head and took out another black fire pearl. Then, he blew little Nine up. Little Nine's feathers turned into mush. Gee ya! Little Jing Kong took out the third black fire pearl and blew himself up. Little Jing Kong, who was spitting out black smoke, was speechless. Ha 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 ha. The robbers had never seen such a stupid kid. They were all convulsing with laughter. With a thud, one of the robbers fell from the horse and fell to the ground. Thud. Another robber fell down with a smile. Thud, thud, thud. Finally, the robbers realized that something was wrong. One of the robbers quickly covered his nose with his arm. "Oh no! There's sleeping gas." The black fire pearl that Gu Jiao customized for Xiao Hang wasn't very powerful. It wouldn't kill anyone, but it was mixed with sleeping gas, which could quickly make the robbers lose their ability to move. This sleeping gas was indiscriminate, and it was also effective on the robbers. Xiao Hang had the antidote in his hands. Unfortunately, little Jing Kong didn't know that he only stole the black fire pearl. All the robbers were knocked out. Old Master Meng was also knocked out. This sleeping gas was only effective on humans. Little Nine didn't fall. Little Jing Kong didn't fall either. Little Jing Kong scratched his head. Why did they all fall? He skipped to Old Master Meng and squatted down. "Grandpa, Grandpa." Even the robbers couldn't resist its effects. Old Master Meng wouldn't have any reaction. Little Jing Kong sighed. "Forget it. I'll go find Jiao Jiao myself." Old Master Meng was a good person. He wouldn't leave him alone. Jiao Jiao's medical skills were excellent. He would take Old Master Meng to find Jiao Jiao. He grabbed Old Master Meng's collar as if he was holding a sack and walked forward silently. "Little Nine, let's go." If Gu Jiao were here, she would be very surprised. Little Jing Kong was much stronger than before. He didn't need to exert any effort to drag Old Master Meng. Little Jing Kong didn't know the exact location of Chenqiong Academy. He could only walk forward aimlessly. He walked through the quiet streets and dark alleys. The light in his heart guided him to walk forward bit by bit with determination. He didn't know how long he had walked. He was tired, hungry, and sleepy. He grabbed Old Master Meng and yawned. "Jiao Jiao, where are you?" He really couldn't walk anymore. His calves and legs were no longer his. His hands were sore. He wanted to Jiao Jiao. Suddenly, a familiar voice came from behind. "Jing Kong." The latest chapter of this book is not finished yet. For more exciting content, please scan the QR code below to download the app. The novel is more complete and updated faster. Millions of novels are free to read. All the novels with content that can't be found on the internet are available here. https://www.zhbqg.com/89642_826/1079495969. HTML Genius memorized the website address in 1 second. www.zhbqg.com Bikuj mobile reading website. M. ZHHBQG. Come. Chapter 634. The latest chapter of this book is not finished yet. For more exciting content, please scan the QR code below to download the app. The novel will be updated faster. Millions of novels will be read for free. All the novels that can't be found on the internet will be available here. Little Jing Kong's little body froze. He opened his eyes wide and turned around, looking at her in a daze. Jiao Jiao. Little Jing Kong, who had been looking for her all the way, suddenly felt extremely wronged. He cried out loudly, Jiao Jiao. It's really you. Gu Jiao walked over, squatted down and held the little guy in her arms. Gu Jiao didn't dare to recognize him just now, because this child's steps and figure were similar, but his face was too dark. Her Jing Kong was a fair and tender little boy. How did he suddenly become a little black boy? Little Jing Kong didn't feel wronged when he was alone, but he felt wronged when someone loved him. Little Jing Kong cried loudly, and successfully cried himself into a little rain fairy. Gu Jiao didn't expect to meet little Jing Kong here, or to be exact, she didn't expect little Jing Kong to come to the Yen Kingdom. Little Jing Kong looked very disheveled, and there was a strong smell of sulfur all over his body. At the same time, Gu Jiao also noticed that little Jing Kong was holding a person. Now she was sure that it was a person. She thought it was a big gunny sack just now. Gu Jiao had too many questions in her heart, but this wasn't the place to talk. She decided to bring little Jing Kong back, but before that, she needed to make sure whether it was necessary to bring this person back as well. Who is he? Gu Jiao asked. Old Master Meng's face had already been blown up, and he couldn't even recognize his own mother. Little Jing Kong didn't stop crying, and said while sobbing, he's a kind-hearted grandfather. He brought me to find Jiao Jiao. Then he was accidentally blown up and fainted. Okay, I got it. Gu Jiao brought both of them back. This place was not far from where they lived. It was just across the alley. Gu Shaoshun and Gu Yen had already rested. Master Lu was practicing martial arts in the courtyard while Master Nan was refining poison at the side. Creak. The courtyard door was pushed open. Mistress Nan hurriedly put down the medicinal herbs in her hands. Jiao Jiao is back. Just as he finished speaking, he saw a small, swarthy head poke in. Madame Nan was startled. Then, she saw a little black baby holding Gu Jiao's hand and walking in. Gu Jiao was carrying a person on her shoulder. Madame Nan stood rooted to the ground in a daze. What was going on? Jiao Jiao went out on a trip. How could he bring two people back home? Madame Nan opened her mouth. Jiao Jiao. Call them, Gu Jiao said to little Jing Kong. Little Jing Kong called obediently, Madame Nan. Then, he turned around and called, Master Lu. Ouch. Master Lu punched his own face, causing his nose to bleed. Where did this little black baby come from? Why did he speak like little Jing Kong? Wasn't little Jing Kong in Zhao state? He must have seen a ghost in the middle of the night. Madame Nan was as shocked as her husband. Fortunately, she put down the poison in her hands, otherwise, she would have put it into her mouth. She looked at the little black baby in front of her who wished he could blend into the night. This is Jing Kong? Little Jing Kong put his hands behind his back and tilted his head. Madame Nan. This familiar posture, this familiar tone, it was clear that it was the clear sky. Why are you so dark? Madame Nan finally couldn't help but ask with her soul. Gu Jiao was also curious. Little Jing Kong felt wronged. It's all because of the sun. It was because of the bad brother-in-law. It was so hard to follow the bad brother-in-law all the way. Madame Nan asked again, who brought you to the Yen state? A 5-year-old child couldn't have come here by himself. Little Joe fluttered his wings and landed on the wall of the courtyard. Little Jing Kong rolled his eyes and pointed. Little Joe brought me here. Everyone was speechless. Gu Jiao had asked this question on the way. Little Jing Kong even told her about the robbery, but he didn't tell her who he came to the Yen state with. Madame Nan could only give up for now and ask again later. She looked at the person who was carried in by Gu Jiao and asked, "This person is?" Gu Jiao said, "A kind old man. He brought Jing Kong out of the inner city. I'll take him for treatment first." Master Lu came over after dealing with the nosebleed. "Let me." Master Lu carried him into the central room and put him on a chair. Gu Jiao went to get a small medicine box. Little Jing Kong was like a little tail behind her. He followed wherever Gu Jiao went. "Are you hungry?" Madame Nan smiled and entered the room. "I'll cook a bowl of noodles." Little Jing Kong played with his fingers and said, "I want to eat Jiao Jiao's egg soup." Gu Jiao looked back at the little tail behind her and smiled. "I'll make it for you later." Madame Nan smiled and said, "I'll go and burn the firewood first." She went to the kitchen. Gu Jiao continued to treat the old man. He was fine except for some scratches on the way back when little Jing Kong dragged him back. The other thing was that he inhaled the knockout drug in the black fire pearl. He would wake up after the knockout drug wore off. Gu Jiao suddenly thought of a question. Little Jing Kong was also blown up by the black fire pearl. He should have been knocked out by the knockout drug. Why was little Jing Kong fine? Besides, where did he get the strength to drag the old man all the way back? Did he become so powerful after learning from Gu Chongqing for a few days? Did he awaken some hidden talent? Gu Jiao asked the question in her heart. Little Jing Kong thought for a while and felt that he could answer the question honestly. Little Chick Monkey also taught me Kung Fu. Little Chick Monkey. Gu Jiao was confused. Gu Jiao treated old Master Meng's injuries and put him in the small study. Then, she went to the kitchen and cooked a bowl of steamed egg with foie gras for little Jing Kong. She also cooked a bowl of vegetable noodles for him. Little Jing Kong ate heartily. Jiao Jiao's cooking is so delicious. Unlike his bad brother-in-law, the food was so bad. It was not easy for him to survive with his bad brother-in-law. Boo-hoo. I'm so pitiful. After little Jing Kong had eaten his fill, Master Lu took him to take a fragrant hot bath. During the bath, Master Lu asked him how he came to the Yen Kingdom. Little Jing Kong was very smart and did not say a word. After the bath, he hugged a small pillow and lay on Gu Jiao's bed contentedly. He rolled here and there. After the third round, he fell asleep. He was exhausted from the night and was snoring non-stop. It was not the hottest time of the day in Shangdu. The night was still a little cold. Gu Jiao went into the room and put a thin quilt on little Jing Kong's stomach. "Who brought you here?" Gu Jiao murmured. "Jiao Jiao." Madame Nan called Gu Jiao in a low voice at the door. Gu Jiao put down the curtain and walked over gently. She asked, "Madame Nan, what's wrong?" Madame Nan handed a wet brocade pouch to Gu Jiao. "I found this when I was washing little Jing Kong's clothes. It was sewn in the interlayer. At first glance, you couldn't see it. But when you put it in the water, the dye in the brocade pouch spread." Gu Jiao took the colorful brocade pouch and squeezed it. She said, "There's something." She opened the brocade pouch and a folded craft paper fell out. When the craft paper was opened, there was a note. It was written clearly in the language of the Yen Kingdom. "My book boy was lost when he was young. If you find him, please send him to the Linglong Pavilion of the Kanglan Women's Academy. We will reward you handsomely." Digression. As the saying goes, the devil goes. 23333 Your brother-in-law is still your brother-in-law. The latest chapter of this book is not finished yet. For more exciting content, please scan the QR code below to download the app. The novel is more complete and updated faster. Millions of novels are free to read. You can find all the novels that you can't find on the internet here. https://www.zhbqg.com/89642/826/1079487111. HTML Genius remembers this website's address in a second. www.zhbqg.com Kombiku Gu mobile reading website, M. ZHHBQG. Com. Chapter 635. The latest chapter of this book is not finished yet. For more exciting content, please scan the QR code below to download the app. The novel will be updated more quickly. Millions of novels can be read for free. There are all kinds of novels that can't be found on the internet. Errand Boy. Kanglan Women's Academy? The one who brought little Jing Kong to the Yen Kingdom was a woman? Like Gu Jiao, Madame Nan also caught the two important pieces of information. She frowned and said, "Was Jing Kong abducted?" Those who could live in Kanglan College were either female students or female teachers. And Linglong Pavilion sounded like a dormitory for female students, so it was more likely to be a female student. None of the girls that Gu Jiao and Madame Nan knew met this condition. Could it be Mo Chenshue? Madame Nan asked. She had been to Pushui Alley too many times, so she naturally heard of Hua Xiao and Mo Chenshue. Mo Chenshue had been to the Yen Kingdom. But this guess was quickly denied by Gu Jiao. She went to the Yen Kingdom with Prince Consort Huangfu Zhang and sneaked into the Yen Kingdom from the Chan Kingdom. It was not a formal way. She shouldn't be able to enter the academy in Shangdu. If she can't, then Hua Xiao can't. Madame Nan frowned. It can't be Princess Xinyang. Princess Xinyang is a mother. How can she go to the academy to study? Whether she studied or not was secondary. Princess Xinyang was the princess of the Zhao Kingdom. The nature of her visit to the Yen Kingdom had changed. It was a political visit, so there must be rumors in Shangdu. If she visited secretly, she needed to hide her identity. Did she think that she would not be exposed quickly enough if she went to the academy in the inner city? The last and most important point was, Gu Jiao said, if it was Princess Xinyang, Jing Kong wouldn't run away. The little guy even took his luggage and the black fire pearl. It was obvious that he sneaked out in the middle of the night. Black fire pearl, Gu Jiao murmured. The black fire pearl was a hidden weapon that she made for Xiao Hang. How could little Jing Kong have it? Did Xiao Hang also come? No, he couldn't come. She had taken away his admission papers. Therefore, little Jing Kong had secretly taken away Xiao Heng's black fire pearl in Zhao country. Little Jing Kong was extremely daring. It was not something that he would not do. Gu Jiao looked at the note with the words, "My book boy," written on it again. The fact that little Jing Kong could escape from her meant that he was not a good person. Otherwise, would little Jing Kong run away if he was a good person? Little Jing Kong was a good child who knew how to repay kindness. Even his grandfather, who had left the city, was injured. He knew that he had to bring his grandfather over for treatment. If that person was the one who saved Jing Kong would not abandon her. Gu Jiao's mind was already filled with a series of detestable acts of human traffickers selling children from thousands of miles away, hiring child labor, not giving them food or water, oppressing them to death, and beating and scolding them at every turn. Songlan Women's Academy, right? Very good. Gu Jiao clenched her fist and the paper ball turned into ashes. Woman, you will pay the price. Early the next morning, Gu Yen and Gu Xiaoshun knew that little Jing Kong was abducted to the Yen Kingdom. It was Madame Nan who told them. Madame Nan asked them not to ask about it. He didn't mention it at all. I think he was scared and didn't want to recall it. Madame Nan even found a reasonable explanation for little Jing Kong's evasiveness. It was undeniable that Madame Nan had a certain talent in the field of imagination. Oh. Gu Xiaoshun agreed obediently. Only Gu Yen had a look of suspicion. That little monk? Was he scared? However, Gu Yen was still very weak. He muttered a few words in his heart and fell asleep again. Little Jing Kong also woke up. He was practicing martial arts in the backyard. After practicing, he sat down and practiced for a while. Gu Jiao already knew that the little chick monkey he mentioned was Marquis Xian Ping. Gu Jiao was puzzled. When Marquis Xian Ping was recuperating in the Pushui Alley, he was in a cast. How did he manage to abduct little Jing Kong to practice martial arts? Gu Jiao looked at the vigorous little Jing Kong and then looked at the old grandpa who still hadn't woken up from the knockout drug. But he taught him well. After breakfast, little Jing Kong stayed at home. Gu Jiao and Gu Shaoshun went to the academy to attend classes. In the past, it was Gu Jiao who sent little Jing Kong to school. Now it was little Jing Kong who watched Gu Jiao go to school. He found it quite refreshing. However, he felt lonely after Gu Jiao left. Suddenly, he turned around and saw the big black horse in the backyard. The horse king who was eating grass was shocked. An ominous premonition came to its mind. Another wicked person wants to harm me. Gu Jiao went to Mingxin Hall. As usual, she walked to the last row near the back door. There were basically no people sitting in the last row. If there were, it would be her and Mu Qingchen. Mu Qingchen didn't come today, but the back row was full. Oh no, there was a seat left. Everyone in the back row looked at Gu Jiao in unison, waved at Gu Jiao in unison, and smiled warmly at her in unison. They even showed their teeth in unison. Gu Jiao, who had recognized Zhou Tong, was unable to recognize him for the whole afternoon. Gu Jiao looked around and found that except for the back row, only the first row was empty. She took a deep breath and resisted the urge to throw out the group of people who came from the first row to compete with her for the last row. She walked over and sat down with a poker face. Gu Jiao raised her hand and was about to ask who could lend her homework when Zhou Tong turned around and put a pile of homework on her desk with a smile. "It's all done for you." Gu Jiao was speechless. At noon, Gu Jiao went to have lunch. "Brother Xiao, I've got it for you." In the afternoon, Gu Jiao went to shoot arrows. "Brother Xiao, I've got the arrows for you." "Brother Xiao, I've made the annotations." "Brother Xiao, I've got the toilet paper for you." Toilet paper? Why was there toilet paper? Gu Jiao, who wanted to go back to the dormitory and put the cloak back in Mu Qingchen's closet, came out with a gloomy face. Gu Jiao spent an indescribable day in the academy. Dealing with these clingy people was more tiring than attending classes. Finally, when school was over, Gu Jiao's head was smoking. Gu Jiao grabbed her bag and walked out. Gu Shaoshun didn't wait for her. As soon as she walked out of the academy, a carriage stopped in front of her. Gu Jiao didn't pay it any attention. Unexpectedly, a girl in a pink dress jumped out of the carriage and called out to her. "Xiao Lulang." It was Mu Qingchen's sister, Su Shui. Gu Jiao glanced at her and continued walking. "Your brother isn't here." Su Shui caught up with Gu Jiao. "I know he's not here. He's out of Shangdu. I'm not looking for him." "I'm looking for you." "What's up?" Gu Jiao asked. "Can't I look for you if there's nothing?" Su Shui pouted. Why did this line sound so familiar? Gu Jiao looked at her strangely and said seriously, "You can't." Su Shui choked and her steps slowed down. Did this person know how to talk? Could it be? Gu Jiao walked in front of her. Gu Jiao was tall for a girl and her steps were fast. Su Shui struggled to keep up. Su Shui gasped for breath. "Can't you walk a little slower? I came all the way here to find you. Can't you wait for me? Why are you as unreasonable as my roommate?" Gu Jiao stopped. "Your roommate?" Gu Jiao finally remembered. She looked at Su Shui. "Last time, you said that your new roommate was a mute and brought along a little black baby?" Su Shui nodded. "That's right." Gu Jiao paused. "What's the child's name?" "Little Black." Su Shui blinked and sighed helplessly. "How would I know his name?" Gu Jiao glanced at her. "Don't you share a room with them?" Su Shui muttered, "But I don't live in the academy's dormitory." This was the truth. Her home was in the inner city. Why would she leave the luxurious mansion to live in a dormitory? Was she crazy? As expected of siblings, their habits of not living in the dormitory were exactly the same. Gu Jiao continued, "You should know that woman's name, right?" Su Shui immediately exploded. "Xiao Lulang, you're too much. How dare you ask me about another woman's name? Are you interested in her as well?" What are you thinking? I don't even know her. Gu Jiao was baffled. How could Su Shui's thoughts jump around like this? Why would she think of this? Why would she be interested in a stranger? And a woman at that? Su Shui snorted. Then why are you asking about her? Oh, I know. Did you also hear about her beauty, so you want to curry favor with her like those lechers? Let me tell you, there's no hope. How many young masters of the country can't even catch her eye? You, forget it. What kind of nonsense is she talking about? Gu Jiao said indifferently, I have a grudge with her. Really? Su Shui's eyes lit up and her expression changed. What kind of grudge? Thinking about the oppressed little Jing Kong, Gu Jiao's eyes emitted killing intent. He coldly said, an absolutely irreconcilable grudge. Songlon Women's Academy's Ling Long Pavilion. A certain person fiercely sneezed 3 times. Su Shui happily said, then I'll take you to find her. Digression. Recently, I want to adjust my work schedule. The update time is not fixed, so everyone comes to refresh every afternoon. The latest chapter of this book is not finished yet. For more exciting content, please scan the QR code below to download the app. The novel will be updated even faster. Millions of novels will be read for free. Novels that can't be found online are all available here. https://www.zhbqg.com/89642_8964286/1079445558. HTML Genius will remember this website's address in 1 second. www.zhbqg.com Pen Fun Pavilion's mobile reading website, zhbqg.com. Chapter 636. The latest chapter of this book is not finished yet. For more exciting content, please scan the QR code below to download the app. Novels are updated faster. Millions of novels are free to read. Novels with content that can't be found online are all available here. Gu Jiao sat in Su Shui's carriage. Su Shui's coachman saw his young miss bring an unfamiliar man into the carriage and couldn't help but remind her in a low voice, young miss, this isn't appropriate, right? Men and women shouldn't touch each other. If master and madam find out, they'll punish you. Su Shui coldly snorted, if you don't say anything, how will my parents know? Or are you planning to betray me and secretly tell on me to my parents? I'm warning you. If you plot against me behind my back, I'll make sure you can't stay in the Su family anymore. The coachman hurriedly replied, this little one wouldn't dare, this little one wouldn't dare. Young miss, don't worry, this little one will keep my mouth shut. That's more like it. Su Shui raised her eyebrows in satisfaction. Looking at the tightly closed curtains, she smiled knowingly and lifted her skirt to get into the carriage. She sat down on the bench next to Gu Jiao. She wore a pink and white tunic dress that accentuated her lithe figure and slender waist. Although she wore a veil, her limpid eyes were dazzling and beautiful. Actually, from Mu Qingchen's appearance, one could guess that Su Shui wasn't bad either. However, Gu Jiao wasn't a real man, so he wouldn't drool over Su Shui's beauty. Her eyes were clear without the slightest hint of profanity, causing Su Shui's face to turn even redder. He was a rare gentleman. Being in the same room as her, he didn't have the slightest intention of offending her. The carriage traveled on the wide street with an endless stream of pedestrians. The sounds of hawking could be heard, creating a bustling scene in Shangdu. Young Miss Su, can you walk a bit faster? Gu Jiao asked. If she walked too slowly, it would be dark soon and she was afraid that she wouldn't be able to leave the city in time. Su Shui wished that she could walk a bit slower, but since Xiao Lulang requested, she could only comply. Oh, Ah Fu, walk a bit faster. Yes, young miss. The coachman called Ah Fu whipped the horse, causing it to gallop. Su Shui's face darkened. I told you to go faster, not this much. I'll deduct your monthly allowance when I get back. The Kanglan Women's Academy was located in the southeast of the inner city of Chengdu. It was one of the 4 prime locations in the inner city and the only women's academy in Chengdu. It wasn't that there weren't any girls' schools in other places, but most of them were small private schools that had a separate class for girls. The last few times she came here, she was either hiding under the car or in the car, or she was being watched. She didn't have the chance to properly appreciate the local customs of the inner city. Today, thanks to Su Shui, she lifted the curtain and looked to her heart's content. The outer city was already bustling, and the inner city was even more so. Su Shui saw that she kept looking outside and thought that she was in a hurry, so she said, "We'll be there soon. We'll take a shortcut and go around the back door of the House of Duke. We'll be there in less than 10 minutes. Speaking of which, what kind of grudge do you have with my roommate?" Of course, Gu Jiao could not say that her roommate had abused her Jing Kong. She only said, "Anyway, that's what happened." "Alright, I won't say it." Su Shui didn't get to the bottom of the matter. After all, she could tell that Gu Jiao really wanted to teach that new beauty a lesson. She wasn't like those playboys outside who said all kinds of things, but in fact, they were all there to see the beauty. "I believe you," she said with a smile. Gu Jiao was baffled by this sudden belief. Why would Su Shui believe her? The carriage went on for a while before it suddenly stopped. Su Shui frowned and said unhappily through the curtain, "What's wrong? Who told you to stop?" Young miss." The coachman's voice was not right. Su Shui lifted the curtain and said in surprise, "Father." It was a carriage from the Su house that stopped at almost the same time as Su Shui's carriage. The person inside the carriage lifted the curtain, revealing a stern middle-aged face. It was Su Shui and Mu Qingchen's father, Su Yuan, courtesy name Rong Chuan. His sharp gaze swept over the guilty coachman and Su Shui. Su Shui's heart skipped a beat. She hurriedly walked out of the carriage and closed the curtains tightly. She stood outside the carriage and said to Su Yuan, "Father, what a coincidence. Didn't you bring 4th brother out of the city? Why are you back so soon? Where's 4th brother? Is he in your carriage?" Su Yuan did not answer Su Shui's question. In fact, there was no need for him to answer. If Mu Qingchen was in the carriage, he would have come out to help Su Shui resolve the awkwardness. Su Yuan's gaze was fixed on the curtain behind Su Shui. Su Shui inconspicuously moved and tried to use her body to block the curtain. This was really a case of giving herself away. "Who is it?" Su Yuan asked in a deep voice. No one." Su Shui hurriedly waved her hand. Su Yuan was a martial artist, so how could he not sense the presence in the carriage? Moreover, Su Shui and the coachman's reactions had already betrayed everything. Gu Jiao lifted the curtain and openly walked out. When Su Yuan saw that it was a green-clothed youth, his gaze instantly turned cold. He did not judge people by their appearance, but the arrogance in the youth's eyes made him frown slightly. "Who are you?" Su Yuan coldly asked. "Xiao Lulang." Gu Jiao said in a neither servile nor overbearing manner. Su Yuan narrowed his eyes. "You're Xiao Lulang?" Su Shui hurriedly explained, "That's right. Father. He's the Xiao Lulang that I told you about. He saved me from the horse's hooves. Father, you weren't there at the time, so you don't know how dangerous the situation was. Even 4th brother couldn't save me. If it wasn't for him, I would have." Before she could finish, Su Yuan's cold gaze landed on her and she immediately shut her mouth. Su Yuan was very angry that a man and a woman were in the same room. However, no matter how unruly Su Shui was, he still had to teach her a lesson behind closed doors. Su Yuan would not embarrass her in public. However, Su Yuan did not hide his arrogance in front of a commoner. "You're Qingchen's classmate. It was Qingchen who told you to come visit more often, right? Unfortunately, Qingchen isn't home today, so you've made a wasted trip." He did not mention that Gu Jiao had saved Su Shui's life, only acknowledging that Gu Jiao was Mu Qingchen's classmate. Even Gu Jiao, sitting in the same carriage as Su Shui, was said to be looking for Mu Qingchen. After he finished speaking, He looked at Su Shui, who was beside Gu Jiao, and sternly said, "Why aren't you coming over?" Su Shui bit her lip and slowly jumped off the carriage. She walked over to her father's carriage, looking back every few steps. The servants laid out the wooden steps for Su Shui. Su Shui walked up the steps. "Go in," Su Yuan said to her. Su Shui entered the carriage, feeling wronged. Su Yuan continued to look at Gu Jiao and said, "Qingchen isn't home, so I'm sorry for making young Master Xiao come here for nothing. Fu, send young Master Xiao back to the academy. When Qingchen comes back, I'll ask him to invite young Master Xiao to the manor." Su Shui's expression changed. "Father," Su Yuan said sternly. "Fu." "Yes." Fu did not dare to disobey Su Yuan's order. He turned the carriage around and drove towards the southern city gate. Su Shui looked at the carriage that was gradually moving away and stomped her feet. "Father, why did you do that?" Su Yuan put down the curtain and sat down opposite Su Shui. "I should ask you why you did that. You're a girl, yet you're sitting in the same carriage as a commoner. What if someone saw you? Don't you want your reputation?" Su Shui snorted. "Father, there's no what if. Those who were more powerful than her wouldn't bother to block her carriage, and those who were weaker wouldn't dare to block her carriage. How could they be discovered?" Su Yuan said sternly, "You're still quibbling. Also, don't mention that he saved your life. He didn't save you, he was just training the horse. Don't you feel ashamed to be associated with a commoner?" Originally, Su Yuan didn't even want to admit that the kid was Mu Qingchen's classmate. However, in order to make it sound reasonable, he had to change the fact that his daughter brought him to the capital and Mu Qingchen invited him to the capital. Su Shui argued, "But he did save me." "Father, you don't want to admit it. Do you think my life is worthless?" Su Yuan said seriously, "I'm worried that he'll rely on the Su family. If he uses saving your life as an excuse to stay with the Su family, you won't be able to marry for the rest of your life." Su Shui said angrily, "I didn't want to marry in the first place." Su Yuan's face darkened. "I know that he saved your life. I'll have someone prepare a gift for him and send it to the academy. He should be satisfied with the reward from the Su family. You'd better not make this mistake again. He doesn't have a talisman in the inner city. If the government finds out that you brought him into the city without permission, the consequences will be unimaginable." Su Shui felt wronged. "Isn't the government run by our family?" "You." Su Yuan was furious. What did she mean by the government run by the Su family? Was this girl not afraid of her whole family being executed? Su Shui said angrily, "Grandfather is the governor of the capital. Isn't the matter of Cha Fujie the government's official business? Who would dare to investigate me in the capital? Do they want to die?" This was the truth. "But you can't say it. If His Majesty heard it, wouldn't the Su family follow in the footsteps of the Shenyuan family?" Su Yuan gritted his teeth. "How dare you say such things? I'm only talking to father. I'm not talking nonsense outside." Who didn't know that? Su Yuan was choked by her words. After a while, he remembered what he wanted to say. "Why did you bring him to the inner city?" Su Shui wasn't stupid. Naturally, she wouldn't say that Xiao Lulang had a feud with someone. She said, "He's never been to the inner city, so I brought him around. Who knew he'd run into father?" Su Shui said. In order to avoid exposing herself, she quickly changed the topic. She turned around. "Father, you're unreasonable. I don't want to talk to father anymore. I want to go back and tell grandfather that father bullied me and fourth brother's friend." Su Yuan said coldly, "What do you mean you and fourth brother's friend? Is he worthy?" Su Shui, remember this. You're the Su family's daughter. You can't lower your status for a commoner. Su Shui was angered to tears by Su Yuan. Seeing his daughter cry, Su Yuan frowned and sighed helplessly. "All right, let's not talk about him. Wipe your tears. Father will take you somewhere." "I'm not going." Su Shui refused without hesitation. Su Yuan said, You don't even know where we're going and you're saying you're not going? Su Shui choked with sobs. I'm angry. I don't want to go anywhere. Su Yuan said, it's Elder Meng's chessboard. Su Shui's crying stopped. Su Yuan knew that her interest was piqued. He continued, yesterday, Elder Meng encountered a group of robbers in the outer city. His whereabouts are unknown. His coachman reported it, but unfortunately, the Yamen only caught the unconscious robbers and didn't find Elder Meng. Some people speculate that Elder Meng might have met with misfortune. Su Shui was stunned. Then, are we going to burn incense for him? Su Yuan was speechless. Su Yuan said, we're going to meet Elder Meng's eldest disciple. That disciple has received Elder Meng's teachings and is second only to him in chess. In the past, we wouldn't have been able to meet him. Now that Elder Meng is in trouble and we're helping the chessboard, it's a good opportunity to rope him in. Perform well in a while and try to gain his favor so that he can accept you and your sister as his disciples. Your sister is already there. I'm not worried about her. I'm only worried about you. In the entire family, Su Shui was the one who caused him the most worry. On the other side, Fu was driving the carriage slowly towards the city gates. He wasn't worried that the guards would stop his carriage to check if there were any inner-city Fu Jie inside. After all, this was the Su family's carriage. Even if they did check it, they would just hand it over to the capital office and have the Su family's old master release it. He just felt a little sorry for the people in the carriage. Today's incident was quite embarrassing. He said sincerely, "Sigh, young Master Xiao, don't take it to heart. The old master's mouth is unforgiving, but he definitely won't mistreat you behind your back. When you return to the academy, you might even receive a gift from the old master. However, let me give young Master Xiao a piece of advice. The Su family's young miss isn't someone you can make friends with. You should give up. Be a sensible person and the Su family will protect you. What do you think?" Young Master Xiao ignored him. The coachman continued, "Young Master Xiao, am I right?" Young Master Xiao. Young Master Xiao. Fu felt that something was strange. He turned around and lifted the curtain, only to see that the carriage was empty. The person who should have been sitting inside had disappeared without a trace. Digression. Happy May Day. The latest chapter of this book is not finished yet. For more exciting content, please scan the QR code below to download the app. Novels are updated faster and more complete. Millions of novels are free to read. Novels with content that can't be found online are all available here. https://www.zhbqg.com/89642_826/1079281442. HTML Genius memorized this website's address in 1 second. www.zhbqg.com Bikuj mobile reading website. zhbqg.com. Chapter 637. The latest chapter of this book is not finished yet. For more exciting content, please scan the QR code below to download the app. Novels are updated faster. Millions of novels are free to read. Novels with connotations that can't be found online are all available here. After Gu Jiao got off the carriage, she went back the way she came and arrived at the Conglan Women's Academy. Although the Conglan Women's Academy was located in the inner city, it covered a large area, at least larger than Gu Jiao had imagined. This brought trouble to Gu Jiao's search. Where is Ling Long Pavilion? She looked around. I can't just ask anyone. The Conglan Women's Academy didn't allow outsiders to enter. She was dressed in men's clothing, so her sudden appearance here could easily cause misunderstandings. Fortunately, it was still early, so she just had to search the courtyard one by one. She didn't know if it was because the beauty was too famous, but all the gossip Gu Jiao heard while secretly strolling around was about her. From the information from these people's mouths, the beauty had just arrived in Shangdu. Unlike Gu Jiao, who had become the most popular person in Clearheart Hall in just a few days, this new beauty had become the public enemy of all the young ladies of the Tsonglan Women's Academy. She never invites people to dinner and calculates every copper coin clearly. I've never seen such a stingy person. She doesn't help when we ask her for help. She doesn't lend us anything when we ask her. Stingy. She doesn't allow people to enter her dormitory or touch her things. She has a bad temper. She's so arrogant and always has a cold face. Isn't she just relying on those men to like her? She only knows how to seduce men all day long. Little vixen. But her homework seems to have been praised by the teacher again. Yes. She got first place in yesterday's exam again. I really want to tear her apart when I see her proud look. She has no status and no backing. Can't she use this to raise her value so that she can find a good husband in Chengdu in the future? The entrance requirements of the Tsonglan Women's Academy were very high. Most of the students were young ladies of aristocratic families or extremely talented women. Most of them were married to men of the Yen Kingdom. Therefore, the Tsonglan Women's Academy was also known as the Academy for Brides of the Six Kingdoms. Many young masters from aristocratic families had come here to find beauties from the academy. After hearing so much, Gu Jiao couldn't help but admire the beauty in his heart. How did she manage to pull the hatred of all the students in the academy to the max? Look, someone is sending something to Ling Long Pavilion again. It must be for her. One of the female students pointed to a small courtyard in the southeast and said sourly. Gu Jiao looked over. Oh, is that Ling Long Pavilion? The few of them left while cursing. Gu Jiao looked in the direction of Ling Long Pavilion and walked over. It was neither early nor late. The sun was setting in the west, and the warm yellow light fell on the cornices of the Pavilion of Delicacy. Gu Jiao climbed over the wall and entered the courtyard. There was more than one bedroom in Ling Long Pavilion. Gu Jiao followed the maidservants who came to deliver things to a room at the end of the corridor. After the maidservants left, Gu Jiao flashed in. The women's room was more exquisite than the men's room. The room was separated by yellow pear wood cabinets. One of the bed curtains was down and there was a faintly discernible figure inside. There was nothing in the room on the other side. It matched what Su Shui said about her not staying. Very good, it seems to be her. Gu Jiao took out her mask and put it on. She took off the whip at her waist and slapped it on the ground. Gu Jiao coldly said, "Are you coming out yourself or do I have to drag you out?" "You don't want to come out? Okay." Gu Jiao directly whipped the person out of the curtains. But how was this a student of the academy? It was clearly a fake person. Gu Jiao frowned. Does he know I'm coming to find him? The number one beauty of Tsonglan Academy naturally knew that Gu Jiao was coming to find her. Or more accurately, she was coming to find him. The number one beauty was none other than Xiao Hang, who brought little Jing Kong to the Yen Kingdom. Little Jiao came back with Gu Jiao's headband in his mouth last night. Xiao Hang knew that the little fellow had found Gu Jiao. With the little fellow's nature, he might not tell him. But in order to prevent the little fellow from getting lost, he put the address of Ling Long Pavilion in the little fellow's clothes. Therefore, whether the little fellow told him or not, Gu Jiao could find him. Gu Jiao looked like she was going to punish him. The little fellow must have slandered him in front of Gu Jiao. Xiao Heng's teeth hurt. Of course, he was not avoiding Gu Jiao because he was afraid that Gu Jiao would punish him. It was because he did not want her to know that he was the new beauty of the academy. Fortunately, he was prepared. Gu Jiao was in the empty room. While she was thinking about the other party's intentions, someone came from the corridor. Gu Jiao hid behind the rosewood screen cabinet. The door was pushed open and a girl wearing a pink and white uniform walked in. After she entered the room, she closed the door and bolted it. Then she walked to the bed where the fake person was. Gu Jiao sneered and walked out from behind the screen cabinet. "You are the student of this dormitory?" The young girl seemed to be shocked. She turned around with a pale face and looked at Gu Jiao with eyes full of fear. Gu Jiao looked at her lovely face. She was indeed a beauty, but wasn't it a bit exaggerated? But then she thought about it. She did not see anyone more beautiful than her on the way here. The girl gestured with her hands. She was probably asking who she was. Seeing that Gu Jiao did not answer, she looked at Gu Jiao with pleading eyes. Then she pointed at a table not far away. There was a brush, ink, paper, and inkstone on the table. Gu Jiao understood and walked over to sit down. The young girl came to the table. Only then did Gu Jiao notice that her right hand seemed to be injured and was bandaged with white gauze. The girl frowned slightly. She spread out the white paper and used her left hand to write with great difficulty. I am a student of this dormitory. May I ask who you are? Why did you come to my room? Gu Jiao remembered Su Shui saying that she was a little mute. She was not surprised that she answered with writing. Can you hear me? Gu Jiao asked. The girl nodded and wrote, I'm not deaf. Gu Jiao looked at the handwriting on the paper. It was different from the handwriting on Jing Kong's body. But it was not difficult to understand. After all, the handwriting of ordinary people was different. Gu Jiao took out a dyed note from her purse and handed it to her. Did you leave this? The girl took it and looked at it. Her eyes lit up and she wrote, Young master, did you find Jing Kong? Gu Jiao looked at her excited expression. She did not look like a cruel girl who would abuse children. Gu Jiao was a little confused. You know his name is Jing Kong? The girl hurriedly wrote, He told me. I met him at a dock in the Yen Kingdom. At that time he was alone and pitiful, so I took him with me. Which dock? Gu Jiao asked. Tongqing Dock. The girl wrote. There was such a dock in the Yen Kingdom, but it was not on the road to Chengdu. Why did Jing Kong go there? Who brought him to the Yen Kingdom? I asked him about his past, but he didn't tell me. The girl continued to write. He only said that he was going to Chengdu to find Jiao Jiao. I asked him who Jiao Jiao was, but he didn't tell me. Could it be that Jing Kong was abducted to the Yen Kingdom and escaped by himself? Did he meet this kind-hearted girl after he escaped? She misunderstood him. She did not mistreat Jing Kong. She was good to Jing Kong. As for why Jing Kong ran away, it was because Jing Kong wanted to find her. This wasn't impossible. As for why Jing Kong did not let the girl bring him to find her, it was because she had Xiao Liulong's admission certificate. Her identity could not be exposed. Jing Kong was a smart boy. So, I misunderstood you. Gu Jiao looked at the girl and said. The girl smiled and wrote, You think I bullied him, so you came to find trouble with me? You care about him so much. Who are you to him? Gu Jiao did not answer her question. Instead, she said, It's a misunderstanding. Sorry for offending you. Thank you for taking care of Jing Kong these days. I will repay you if I have the chance. I'm leaving now. Take care. There was a warehouse next door. Xiao Hang put his ear to the wall next door. He did not heave a sigh of relief until Gu Jiao left after finishing her sentence. He found the girl and told her the lines in advance. He even took into account the difference between his handwriting and hers. Finally, he managed to deceive everyone. But he was not as happy as he imagined. Or to be exact, he was a little disappointed. He wanted to see her. He missed her very much. He wanted to settle the score with her face to face. He also wanted to ask her how she was doing these days. He had never missed someone so much. He missed her so much that his heart ached. He was so angry with her, but he was still worried that she was not taking good care of herself. Xiao Hang rubbed his chest, took a deep breath, and stepped out of the warehouse. He came to the door of the dormitory. He suddenly regretted it when he remembered that she was here just now. If he had known, he would not have let her go. He lowered his eyes and opened the door. When he saw the figure on the ground, he looked up. Gu Jiao, who had already left, was standing in front of him. She looked at him and smiled. Lord Xiao, long time no see. Digression, Beauty Xiao. Jiao Jiao is still young. She can't have a baby. Let's have a baby first. Please double the monthly votes. The latest chapter of this book is not finished yet. For more exciting content, please scan the QR code below to download the app. Novels are updated faster. Millions of novels are free to read. There are all kinds of novels that you can't find online. https://www.zhbqg.com/89642_826/1079233793. HTML Genius memorized the website's address. www.zhbqg.com Bikuj mobile reading website. zhbqg.com. Chapter 638. The latest chapter of this book is not finished yet. For more exciting content, please scan the QR code below to download the app. The novel will be updated even faster. Millions of novels will be read for free. All the novels that can't be found online will be available here. It was as if Xiao Hang had been struck by lightning. His entire body froze in place, and it took him a long time to realize the situation in front of him. He lowered his head to look at his flamboyant academy uniform and ran away. Gu Jiao reached out with her small hand and grabbed his collar, dragging him into the room. She slammed the door shut and pressed him against the wall. Then, she reached out with her other hand and pushed his back, locking the door. Her movements were smooth and fluid, all done in one go. Gu Jiao looked at Xiao Hang, and Xiao Hang even stopped breathing. Should he say that her movements were too handsome, or that her gaze was too murderous? Xiao Heng's mind went blank. Everything happened too suddenly. Xiao Heng simply didn't understand how she had stayed. She had clearly said goodbye, and he had clearly heard her leave. But the truth was that the person who had left was the famous actress that he had invited from the theater. Gu Jiao coldly looked at Xiao Hang, her fingertips brushing past his handsome face. She narrowed her eyes dangerously. Husband's appearance is really pitiful. From now on, should I call husband Lord Xiao, or husband Beauty Xiao? Xiao Hang choked and his face flushed red. He looked at her with a resentful expression. You're still angry? Who was the one who drugged me and left me behind? I still haven't settled this debt with you. Gu Jiao's eyes moved. Oh. She had forgotten about this matter. Gu Jiao let go of his collar and began to tidy up his messy clothes. Her eyes immediately became obedient. See, here it comes again. This girl would always pretend to be obedient whenever she was in the wrong. He couldn't forgive her so quickly. Otherwise, she wouldn't learn her lesson. If they encountered this kind of situation again in the future, she would still leave him behind. Xiao Heng pushed her hand away and sat down at the table coldly. Gu Jiao blinked and sat down beside him. Gu Jiao went to get the teapot and poured him some tea. It's hot. He quickly blocked Gu Jiao's hand, grabbed the thick cloth on the table, and removed the teapot from the stove. After taking it, he realized that he shouldn't have done that. It was as if he had already forgiven her. He quickly put on a cold face. In addition to getting even with Gu Jiao, the other reason was to divert her attention so that Gu Jiao would not notice that he was dressed as a woman. Gu Jiao rested her chin on her hands and looked at him. Husband, so the first beauty from the academy is you. No wonder even Su Shui was jealous. Her husband was the most beautiful, and she couldn't accept any rebuttal. Xiao Heng choked. Fortunately, the sky was dark and there was no light in the room, so she couldn't see his red face. Isn't that because of you? He said in a serious tone. Oh. Gu Jiao's lips curved as she stared at him without blinking. Xiao Heng, I'm talking business with you. Gu Jiao, She continued to stare at him. Xiao Heng wished that he could cover her eyes with his hand. Gu Jiao's lips curved slightly. Husband, you're quite charming like this. Could this girl stop talking? If she hadn't taken his admission document, he wouldn't have taken hers. How did you see through it just now? Xiao Hang tried his best to change the topic. Oh, that. Gu Jiao said, she said it herself. Xiao Hang was slightly startled. He saw Gu Jiao glance at the note on the table. There were two kinds of handwriting notes on the table. One was obviously written with a crooked hand, while the other was written with smooth and elegant handwriting. Gu Jiao continued, "When I was about to leave, a dagger fell in front of her. She caught it with her right hand." She had deliberately dropped the dagger in order to see if her right hand was injured. Xiao Heng frowned. "You suspected that she was lying from the beginning?" "Of course not." Xiao Heng's plan was flawless. Although the girl's personality was slightly different from the rumors couldn't be used as evidence to define a person. Gu Jiao had her own standards and logic, so she wasn't affected by objective facts. Gu Jiao pointed at the dummy on the bed. "But why did you put a dummy made of a pillow?" Xiao Heng raised his eyebrows and muttered in a voice that only he could hear, "Just for a bit." Gu Jiao was speechless. Gu Jiao finally understood the whole story from Xiao Heng. It turned out that she also had an admission certificate. She was more and more curious about the white-bearded old monk. He was really a kind and considerate monk. In addition, little Jing Kong didn't mention Xiao Heng because he didn't want to go to school. Little Jing Kong studied in the gifted class. The best gifted class in the Yen Kingdom was in the inner city, just a wall away from the Kanglan Women's Academy. Gu Jiao's mouth twitched. How could he play truant at such a young age? Xiao Heng saw that Gu Jiao was shocked by the truth. He sneered. "Oh, he's only obedient in front of you. Who knew what kind of little devil he was in private?" "How's Gu Yen?" Xiao Heng asked. Gu Jiao said, "He's awake now. He's relying on medicine. I applied for leave for him from the academy. The academy approved it. Madame Nan found a house nearby. Xiao Shun and I don't live in the academy. We go back every night." Hearing this, Xiao Heng secretly breathed a sigh of relief. He didn't know if he was glad that Gu Yen was fine for the time being or that she didn't live in the men's dormitory. Xiao Heng said, "Well, since you're here, we should change our identities." Gu Jiao asked curiously, "Why do you want to change it back?" Xiao Heng said lightly, "Why? Do you still want to pretend to be a man? It's improper to hang out with a group of men all day long." Gu Jiao looked at him and said, "But your identity is safer. Those who want to kill you won't be able to guess that you'll enter the Yen Kingdom with such an identity." Xiao Heng couldn't refute for a moment because the truth was as Gu Jiao said. He had been in the Yen Kingdom for a long time and hadn't encountered anyone who wanted to kill him. There was even one time when he stayed in the same inn with the Nangong family. But the Nangong family didn't recognize him when they walked past him. His current identity was indeed his most powerful protection. But Gu Jiao understood what he was worried about. "You don't have to worry about me. Nangong Li has seen you and knows that you don't look like me. At most, he'll think that I'm someone with the same name or someone who's here to impersonate you. As long as we don't contact each other on the surface and don't have any interactions, people won't think that we've exchanged identities." This era wasn't the information era. News didn't spread as fast as imagined. "We'll be careful. We won't be exposed," Gu Jiao said and patted her small chest. "This is the best arrangement right now. Trust me." Xiao Heng looked at her deeply and said with a complicated expression, "You just want to fight, right?" The people of Chenqiong Academy were more resistant to beatings. Gu Jiao looked at him with a pained expression. How could that be? His guess was so accurate. Under Gu Jiao's persuasion, as well as holding hands, mainly holding hands, Xiao Heng finally accepted the suggestion of not exchanging identities for the time being. The curtain of night had completely fallen. The two talked and forgot to light the lamps in the room. The room was dusky. Only fragments of moonlight penetrated through the gaps in the window lattice. Unknowingly, the sky was so dark. It turned out that time could pass so quickly when two people were together. "It's getting late. I should go," Gu Jiao said. "I'll send you," Xiao Heng said. "There's no need. I can go out by myself." Gu Jiao remembered the way. Xiao Heng paused and said, "I want to send you." Gu Jiao didn't refuse again. The two walked out of Xiao Heng's room. Gu Jiao thought that Ling Long Pavilion was as quiet as his room. When she walked out, she found that Ling Long Pavilion was bustling with noise and excitement. Only his little world was so quiet that it seemed to be isolated from the rest of the world. Gu Jiao said, "I'll send Jing Kong back tomorrow." Xiao Heng snorted. "Humph, you'd better let him stay in the outer city. He'll be so annoying when he comes back." His words were full of disdain, but his tone wasn't harsh. Gu Jiao smiled and said, "I got it." The two avoided the people of the academy and came to a place where it was easiest to climb over. "Let's stop here." Gu Jiao looked at him and said, "It's not safe for you to go out like this." Xiao Heng's face darkened. Did she have to rub salt into his wound? "Okay, I'm leaving." Gu Jiao stepped forward and jumped over the wall. Her movements were clean and efficient. Xiao Heng was stunned. You're leaving just like that? Wasn't it too fast? Didn't she have anything to say? Eat well, drink more water, and don't flirt with those rich young ladies. Oh. Gu Jiao retracted her leg that had already stepped over. She jumped down and came to Xiao Heng. She tiptoed and kissed his face. Xiao Heng was slightly stunned. I didn't mean that. Gu Jiao thought for a moment. Then you mean this? She stood on her tiptoes again, grabbed his collar, and kissed his lips. Xiao Heng's brain exploded with a bang. Gu Jiao gently pressed down on him and then let go of him. Unexpectedly, before her heels touched the ground, Xiao Heng suddenly hugged her waist and pulled her into his arms. Xiao Heng pressed her against the cold wall. He held her waist with one hand and protected her back with the other to prevent the wall from touching her. His longing was intensified by the night. His breathing gradually became heavier. He stared at her with his deep eyes, lowered his head, and pressed his lips against hers in a domineering and gentle manner. The latest chapter of this book is not finished yet. For more exciting content, please scan the QR code below to download the app. Novels are updated at a faster rate. Millions of novels are free to read. Novels with content that can't be found online are all available here. https://www.zhbqg.com/89642_8964286/1079096666. HTML Genius memorized the website's address in 1 second. www.zhbqg.com Biku Gu mobile reading website, zhbqg.com. Chapter 639. The latest chapter of this book is not finished yet. For more exciting content, please scan the QR code below to download the app. The novel will be updated even faster. Millions of novels will be read for free. There are all kinds of novels that can't be found online. This kiss lasted for a long time, and the night seemed to linger. The surroundings were so quiet that only the sound of kissing could be heard. It was so shy that the full moon hid behind the clouds. Xiao Heng's arms tightened little by little, and their bodies were tightly pressed together. The night wind in Chengdu was slightly cold, and his heart was boiling. He used a lot of restraint to let go of her. His right hand gently stroked her head, and her lips were tender and beautiful. Their foreheads touched, and their breaths intertwined. His heart, which had been empty for many days, finally felt a little comforted at this moment. He couldn't help but find her lips and kiss her again. Then Gu Jiao kissed him back. She knew that she had to respond. Xiao Heng chuckled softly, and his strong arms hugged her tightly. He said hoarsely above her head, "Jiao Jiao, if you continue like this, you won't be able to leave tonight." Gu Jiao didn't move. But after a while, she asked him especially bravely, "When will the city gate close?" Xiao Heng said, "Today is Haijing." Gu Jiao calculated and said, "There's still a quarter of an hour." She meant that she could stay for another quarter of an hour. Xiao Heng stared at her and laughed. "A quarter of an hour won't do." Huh? Gu Jiao looked at him strangely. Xiao Heng coughed violently. I mean a quarter of an hour. You can't make it." She meant that they could stay together for another quarter of an hour. What was he thinking? Fortunately, she was quick to change her mind. Oh. Gu Jiao raised her eyebrows and looked at him. Just when Xiao Lulang thought that she didn't understand anything, she suddenly questioned him with a scholarly spirit. Is that right? Novices always took seconds. Xiao Hang. When Gu Jiao returned to the residence, the 3 little boys were already asleep. As usual, Master Nan and Master Lu were waiting for her while doing their own things in the courtyard. Master Nan brewed the poison. Master Lu vigorously performed 2 sets of martial arts before he went to fix the broken tables and stools in the house. Gu Jiao told them about her encounter with Xiao Hang, and both of them were stunned. Was that person Lu Lang? Was he the one who brought little Jing Kong to Shangdu? When they thought of little Jing Kong's pitiful and aggrieved expression as if he had been abducted by a prostitute, the corners of their mouths twitched. How much did the little fellow dislike his brother-in-law? You can't smear my name like this. But when they thought of how Lu Lang had actually replaced Gu Jiao's identity and entered Kanglan Women's Academy, they couldn't help but feel a little amused. Gu Jiao took Xiao Liulong's admission certificate, and Xiao Lulang took Gu Jiao's admission certificate. What kind of huge blunder was this? I think it's a good thing. Master Lu said, aren't there people in the Yen Kingdom who want to kill Lu Lang? They probably wouldn't have thought that Lu Lang was right under their noses. That's true. Master Nan nodded in agreement. Looking at it this way, it was a blunder. It was a good thing for Lu Lang, and it was also good for Gu Yen. If the one who entered the inner city was Gu Jiao, then Gu Yen would be separated from Gu Jiao. Now, the person who couldn't leave Gu Jiao was Gu Yen. He was in danger and needed Gu Jiao's treatment at any time. Master Nan thought of something and asked, Then why didn't you recognize Liulong's handwriting? Gu Jiao said, he changed his handwriting. The Zhao nation's handwriting was different from the Yen kingdom's. Gu Jiao had only seen Xiao Heng's Zhao nation's handwriting, but she had never seen his Yen kingdom's handwriting. Even if it was the Yen kingdom's handwriting, the handwriting he used to write in Zhao nation was very different from the handwriting he used to write in Yen kingdom. Xiao Hang was a very cautious person. He wouldn't leave any evidence for others to use against him in this kind of matter. What about little Jing Kong? Master Nan asked. Gu Jiao said, go back to school in the inner city. Master Nan sighed. Then he will be sad. It wasn't easy for him to escape from the evil hands of his bad brother-in-law, but he was sent back in the blink of an eye. The little guy was going to cry. Gu Jiao could tolerate little Jing Kong's other matters, but there was no room for discussion about going to school. Early the next morning, little Jing Kong received the bad news that he was going to be sent back to the inner city. He held the bowl and felt that the rice in the bowl was no longer fragrant. He asked tearfully, Jiao Jiao, am I still the little boy you love the most? Gu Jiao rubbed his little head, but you still have to go to school. Little Jing Kong cried, boo-hoo, little she will miss me. Who is little she? Before Gu Jiao could ask clearly, the horse king with a small braid and little flowers came directly from the backyard. He picked up little Jing Kong's small bag and put it outside the door. I approve. Tianqiong Academy was on holiday today, so there was no need to ask for leave. After breakfast, Gu Jiao took little Jing Kong into the carriage to enter the city. Gu Xiaoshun sent the two to the inner city gate as usual. Gu Jiao took the inner city seal that Xiao Hang gave her last night and held little Jing Kong's hand as they went to the city gate. The seal was issued by the Kanglan Women's Academy according to the personal documents. Gu Jiao and Jing Kong's names were written on it. Gu Jiao entered the city dressed as a woman and wore a veil, so the city guards didn't see any flaws. After entering the city, Gu Jiao hired a carriage. Get in. Little Jing Kong felt wronged. Gu Jiao said, I will visit you often. Little Jing Kong held the small bag and pouted, I need 2 kisses before I can get in. Gu Jiao kissed him twice. Little Jing Kong then carried the small bag and got into the carriage. Gu Jiao sent little Jing Kong to the agreed place, a tea house near the Kanglan Women's Academy. It was inconvenient for the two to meet in public, so little Jing Kong went in by himself. Xiao Hang was already waiting in the side room on the second floor facing the street. Little Jing Kong went to the side room, opened the window, and leaned on the windowsill to report to Gu Jiao that he was safe. Xiao Hang hugged him with one arm, and his gaze had already landed on the carriage. Gu Jiao also looked at him. The two looked at each other from a distance. The last time they looked at each other like this was when he was paraded on the street as the top scholar. They wouldn't wait too long. After she cured Gu Yen and got rid of the Nangong family, they could walk on the street openly. "Miss, where are we going next?" the driver asked. "To the South City Gate," Gu Jiao said. "Is Miss in a hurry?" the driver asked. "Yes," Gu Jiao said. "Then I'll take the shortcut." The driver waved his whip and drove the carriage away. Gu Jiao sat in the carriage and closed her eyes to rest. Halfway through the journey, the carriage suddenly stopped. "What's wrong?" Gu Jiao opened her eyes and asked. The driver hesitated and said, "Miss, I'm afraid we'll have to change the route." Gu Jiao sensed that something was wrong. She lifted the curtain and looked outside. She saw that something was happening on the street in front of them. The people gathered around and there seemed to be sounds of beating and cursing in the middle of the crowd. "Let's change," Gu Jiao said. This wasn't the Zhao country. Her identity couldn't be exposed. It was better not to get involved in this kind of thing. Someone is going to be beaten to death." Just as Gu Jiao was about to put down the curtain, an auntie's voice came from the side of the road. An old man not far from her said, "Who is beating people?" The auntie said, "Who else?" "The young master of the Nangong family." "Nangong?" Gu Jiao's hand paused. She lifted the curtain slightly and looked at the auntie on the side of the road and asked, "Excuse me, what happened in front?" When the driver heard this, he put down the whip. The auntie sighed and said, A few horse slaves drank too much wine and said a few disrespectful words to General Nangong. Young Master Nangong heard them. Young Master Nangong ordered people to beat them up. He said, "To beat them to death." Gu Jiao asked, "Aren't you afraid of being held accountable for beating them to death?" The auntie sighed and said, "It's just a few horse slaves. If they die, no one will care." Gu Jiao said again, "Auntie, who is the General Nangong you mentioned?" The auntie said, "Nangong Li Daran. A while ago, he returned to his hometown to worship his ancestors. On the way, he was ambushed and seriously injured. When he returned to Chengdu, he was on the verge of death. Those horse slaves said that he couldn't cure them, which provoked young Master Nangong to make a big fuss. It was Nangong Li who injured Gu Yen. He actually didn't die." A middle-aged man said, "It's not the first time young Master Nangong beat people to death. Last time, the servant of Assistant Minister Luo's family was tragically killed by him. That servant was a good citizen." Gu Jiao put down the curtain and asked the driver, "Where is the Nangong family?" The driver said, "Miss, do you want to go to the Nangong family? The Nangong family moved to a new mansion near the Imperial Palace. If we go with a carriage like this, we will be arrested." Gu Jiao paused and asked, "Is the Nangong family very powerful?" "Very powerful." The driver said, "These years, they have obtained military power and are becoming more and more powerful. If, cough." The coachman stopped in time. "If what?" "If Marshal Shen Yuan was still alive, would it be the Nangong family's turn to be domineering? In the past, the Shen Yuan family had millions of soldiers. How powerful were they? The Nangong family was just a dog that kneeled and licked the Shen Yuan family's boots. After the Shen Yuan family's rebellion was defeated, their military power was divided into 4 parts. They were divided between the Nangong family, the Han family, the Wang family, and the Mu family. Among them, the Nangong family contributed the most to the war against the Shen Yuan family and obtained the most military power. The latest chapter of this book is not finished yet. For more exciting content, please scan the QR code below to download the app. Novels are updated faster. Millions of novels are free to read. Novels with content that can't be found on the internet are all available here. https://www.zhbqg.com/89642_8964286/10790851. HTML Genius memorized this site's address. www.zhbqg.com Biku mobile reading website. zhbqg.com. Chapter 640. The latest chapter of this book is not finished yet. For more exciting content, please scan the QR code below to download the app. Novels are updated faster. Millions of novels are free to read. Novels with content that can't be found on the internet are all available here. Did no one report it to the authorities? Gu Jiao asked. The coachman was stunned. Miss, they are from the Nangong family. It's useless to report it. Is that so? Gu Jiao looked in the direction of the long street and murmured faintly. The coachman couldn't help but look back at Gu Jiao. Gu Jiao was wearing a veil and her face was covered. Only a pair of calm eyes could be seen. It was a bit offensive to say this, but the coachman had never seen such a beautiful and cold pair of eyes. She looked at the Nangong family without a trace of fear in her eyes. The coachman faintly had an illusion that the girl he was carrying would raise her sword and slash at the Nangong family if he wasn't careful. The coachman was shocked by his own conjecture. Impossible, impossible. Although the Nangong family wasn't one of the top 10 families in Shangdu, that was only because they didn't have a deep foundation. It didn't mean that they didn't have the strength now. How could an ordinary person have the ability to compete with them? The people from the Duke's public house are here. Someone in the crowd suddenly shouted. The incident of the Nangong family beating up the horse slaves ended with the arrival of the second master of the Duke's public house. The Duke's public house was nearby. The second master of the Duke's public house must have returned from a trip and coincidentally encountered this incident. After the two sides negotiated for a while, the Nangong family left. The coachman said, "The second master of the Duke's public house is famous for being a playboy. Only he can stop the Nangong family. If it was someone else, they wouldn't have the guts." Since the incident had ended so early, this Nangong family's young master, Gu Jiao, decided to meet him first. Gu Jiao left the money in the carriage and quietly got off. Then she found a ready-made clothing store and changed into a set of men's clothes that were convenient for traveling. She followed the Nangong family's young master. Her plan could not keep up with the changes. Just as she was about to find a suitable place to ambush, she was suddenly stopped by a carriage. The carriage stopped at the entrance of the alley. Gu Jiao planned to go around it. Unexpectedly, the person in the carriage lifted the curtain and called out to Gu Jiao in surprise, "It's you." Gu Jiao glanced at her indifferently and recognized her as Mu Ru Xin, whom she had met once at the High Duke's public house. Gu Jiao didn't intend to pay attention to Mu Ru Xin. She turned around to go around the carriage from the back. However, a maid jumped down from the carriage and blocked Gu Jiao's path. "Stop. My young miss is talking to you. Didn't you hear?" Gu Jiao shot a cold glare at the maidservant. The maidservant was so scared that she trembled and took a few steps back to support herself on the carriage. At this moment, another carriage slowly drove over and stopped beside Mu Ru Xion's carriage. The person in the carriage opened the window and asked softly, "Divine Dr. Mu, what happened?" Mu Ru Xin looked at Gu Jiao and said, "We met the doctor that young Master Mu invited from Zhao country." "The doctor that my fourth brother invited?" The young girl was shocked as she leaned half of her body out of the window and looked at Gu Jiao. Beside her, another head also popped out. "What doctor? Let me see. Huh? Xiao Lulang." Gu Jiao held her forehead. "Why did Su Shui also come?" The young girl looked at Su Shui. "You know him?" Su Shui said excitedly, "Second sister. He's the classmate of fourth brother that I mentioned to you. He's fourth brother's friend." Mu Ru Xian looked at Gu Jiao. "So he's young Master Qing Chen's friend. I'm sorry for offending you last time." Gu Jiao had slapped her. Although she said those polite words, she might not really think that way. However, Gu Jiao didn't care. The Su family's second miss asked Mu Ru Xian, "Have you met divine Dr. Mu?" Mu Ru Xian smiled and said, "We met once in the Duke's residence. Young Master Qing Chen brought young Master Xiao to treat the Duke's illness. Young Master Qing Chen had good intentions. I didn't expect that he would be used by someone." Used by someone? Is she saying that this young man is using fourth brother to curry favor or bring disaster to the Duke's residence? The Su family's second miss expression instantly turned ugly. Su Shui angrily rebuked, "Clean your mouth. Who's using my fourth brother? Is my fourth brother the kind of person who would be used by others?" Mu Ru Xian choked. The Su family's second miss said, "Third sister, don't be rude." Mu Ru Xian was the disciple of Chen Country's divine Dr. Luo. Now, she was treated as a guest by the Duke's residence. Her status wasn't something that ordinary people could compare to. Moreover, they wanted her to treat old Mr. Meng's eldest disciple's cough. What's so great about him? Su Shui ignored her second sister and lifted her skirt as she ran down from the carriage. She stopped in front of Gu Jiao and asked with a smile, "You also know about medicine? Why haven't I heard you mention it before?" Mu Ru Xian saw that Su Shui was neither cold nor warm to her, but polite to a half-baked quack with a disfigured face. A cold light flashed through her eyes. The Chen country and Zhao country had accumulated resentment for a long time. Mu Ru Xian hated all the people of Zhao country, not to mention that this person had slapped her face. Mu Ru Xian narrowed her eyes and asked, "Young Master Xiao, since you're young Master Qing Chen's classmate, you must be studying at Tianqiong Academy. May I know why you've come to the inner city? Do you have a talisman to enter the city?" Su Shui's eyes flashed. She then remembered that Xiao Lu Lang didn't have a talisman to enter the inner city. She turned her head and glared fiercely at Mu Ru Xian. What does it have to do with you? Why are you meddling in other people's business? Don't be a doctor. You might as well go catch mice. As the saying goes, if a dog catches a mouse, meddles in other people's business. Was Mu Ru Xian calling her a dog? Mu Ru Xian was furious. The Su family's third young miss had previously been indifferent to her, but she hadn't been this rude. It was all because of this Xiao Lu Lang that she had been going against her in every way, embarrassing her in front of everyone. Mu Ru Xian looked coldly at Gu Jiao. Gu Jiao didn't care about Mu Ru Xian at all. She also didn't care about Mu Ru Xian's hostility. She said to Su Shui, "I still have matters to attend to, so I'll leave first. You should also hurry back." Su Shui wanted to say something but hesitated. She turned her head and looked at her elder sister on one side and Mu Ru Xian on the other. It wasn't a good place to talk. Su Shui coughed lightly and said, "When fourth brother returns, I'll go to the academy to see him. I'll also go find you." "Get in the carriage," Gu Jiao said. Su Shui smiled and waved at Gu Jiao, intending to turn around and leave. Mu Ru Xian, on the other hand, calmly moved her fingertips and pinched a broad bean on the table. With a flick of her finger, the broad bean shot toward Su Shui's knee. If it hit, Su Shui would definitely fall into Gu Jiao's crotch. If Gu Jiao saved her, it would be considered as taking advantage of Su Shui. If she didn't save her, it would be considered as not saving her. Su Shui would be bitterly disappointed and the Su family's second young miss would be angry. Whether Gu Jiao saved her or not, it would be a dead end. Mu Ru Xian waited to see Gu Jiao's end, but she didn't expect that even though she was fast, Gu Jiao was faster than her. The moment the broad bean shot out, the silver needle at Gu Jiao's fingertips also moved. The silver needle hit the broad bean and suddenly shot toward Mu Ru Xian. Mu Ru Xian felt a sharp pain in her right shoulder and she fell heavily on the floor of the carriage. The Su family's second young miss wasn't a martial artist, so she naturally didn't see the undercurrent. She only saw Mu Ru Xian suddenly holding her shoulder and falling down. She hurriedly asked worriedly, "Divine Dr. Mu, what happened to you?" "Young miss." Mu Ru Xian's maid walked up the carriage and helped Mu Ru Xian up from the floor. Mu Ru Xian held her aching shoulder and looked at Gu Jiao with cold sweat. Young Master Xiao, you plotted against me without saying a word. Is this the etiquette of the Zhao people? You plotted against divine Dr. Mu? No. Second elder sister. Xiao Lulang wouldn't plot against her. Gu Jiao picked up the broad bean that had fallen to the ground after hitting Mu Ru Xian. There was a silver needle in the center of the broad bean. Gu Jiao pinched the silver needle. Mu Ru Xian, remember to wash your hands before plotting against others next time. Su Shui used a handkerchief to wrap the silver needle and the broad bean. There were several kinds of pastries in Mu Ru Xian's carriage. Gu Jiao hadn't touched the pastries in Mu Ru Xian's carriage, but this broad bean was obviously stained with the powder of pineapple cake and chestnut cake. At that time, even the maid got out of the carriage. The only one who could touch this broad bean was Mu Ru Xian herself. Su Shui suddenly understood. She looked at Mu Ru Xian and said, I understand now. You plotted against Xiao Lulang first. Of course, Su Shui didn't know that Mu Ru Xian was aiming at her. However, her words weren't wrong. Mu Ru Xian was plotting against Xiao Lulang. Su Shui was just a tool for her to use. Gu Jiao came to Mu Ru Xian's carriage and looked at her indifferently. Just now, I was just giving you a taste of your own medicine. Mu Ru Xian instinctively had an ominous premonition. She wanted to dodge, but it was too late. With a crack, her arm was dislocated by Gu Jiao. This is a plot. Gu Jiao indifferently withdrew her hand and turned to leave. Mu Ru Xian was originally invited by the Su family's second young miss to treat old Mr. Meng's eldest disciple's cough. However, after such a thing happened, she didn't want to treat anyone else. I'm not feeling well, so I'll take my leave first. Lu Yao, let's go. Yes. Young miss. Mu Ru Xian's carriage left. Su Shui returned to her elder sister's side and snorted. Serves you right. The Su family's second young miss frowned slightly. Ever since the Ducan's condition improved, Mu Ru Xian's treatment in the Duke's residence increased by more than one level. Not only did she wear the most fashionable and expensive satin, she ate the most sumptuous delicacies and lived in the most spacious and bright courtyard. Even the daughters of the Duke's residence didn't receive such treatment. Thinking about what had happened during the day, she simply couldn't control her anger. She had long regarded herself as a person of high status. How could she tolerate being humiliated by a person of low status? Lu Yao entered the room and said softly, Young miss, second madam sent someone to ask when the Duke's medicine will be ready. Mu Ru Xian coldly sat on the chair and looked at her painfully reattached arm. She gritted her teeth and said, Tell second madam that I'm injured. I'm afraid I won't be able to treat the Duke for the next few days. Lu Yao reported the truth to second madam. Second madam immediately put down what she was doing and brought 1,000-year-old ginseng to visit Mu Ru Xian. Mu Ru Xian sat on the bed with gauze wrapped around her arm. She said in a haughty tone, Second madam is considerate. But as second madam can see, I'm afraid my arm will need to recuperate for a while. I won't be able to perform acupuncture or brew medicine. You injured your left arm, not your right arm. Why won't you be able to perform acupuncture or brew medicine? Second madam patiently said in a gentle voice, How about this? Give me the prescription and I'll have someone brew it. Mu Ru Xian said, That's my master's secret prescription. How can I easily pass it on to an outsider? Second madam wasn't stupid. Mu Ru Xian was obviously able to treat the Duke. She was deliberately putting on airs to discuss some conditions with them. Second madam smiled. Divine Dr. Mu, we're famous people. What will it take for you to continue treating the Duke? What did she say? Move to Ting Yin Pavilion? That's right. She said Ting Yin Pavilion is suitable for recuperation. In the study room, Second Master Jing slammed the pen in his hand on the table. Ting Yin Pavilion is Yin Yin's courtyard. Even though Yin Yin is no longer here, the things Yin Yin used are still here. She can't even go in to take a look, let alone move in. Second Madam sighed. I knew you wouldn't agree, so I rejected her. Een was eldest brother's only flesh and blood. Her belongings were eldest brother's life. Second Master Jing frowned. What did she say? Second Madam said, she said it's fine if she doesn't move to Ting Een Pavilion, but she can't be bullied by others. She wants us to capture the brat who injured her and let her deal with him. Second Master Jing asked, which brat? Second Madam said, Mu Qing Chen's classmate. He's from Zhao Kingdom. Last time, he came to the Duke's residence to treat eldest brother's illness. But it seems, he's just a quack and doesn't have any real skills. Second Master Jing hesitated for a while before saying, all right, I'll go capture him. As long as she could treat eldest brother, not to mention a person from a lower country, even if it was a person from a higher country, he would still capture him for her. In order to express the importance he attached to Mu Ru Xin, he decided to go personally. Second Master Jing was swift and decisive. After 2 hours, he appeared at Tian Cheong Academy. With the power of the Duke's residence, it wasn't difficult to find out the address of a student. Soon, Second Master Jing arrived at the residence where Gu Jiao was temporarily staying. The latest chapter of this book isn't finished yet. For more exciting content, please scan the QR code below to download the app. Novels are updated at a faster rate. Millions of novels can be read for free. Novels with connotations that can't be found on the internet can be found here. https://www.zhbqg.com/89642-82642-826/1078906114. HTML Genius memorized this website's address in a second. www.zhbqg.com Ting Een Pavilion's mobile reading website. zhbqg.com. Chapter 641. The latest chapter of this book is not finished yet. For more exciting content, please scan the QR code below to download the app. Novels are updated faster. Millions of novels are read for free. Novels that can't be found on the internet are all available here. It's here, right? Second Master Jing looked at the wooden door which had some paint peeling off and thought that he was indeed a poor kid from a lower country. Even the place where he lived was so shabby. Second Master, I disdain to bully people from the lower country, but who asked you to overestimate yourself and be the enemy of divine Dr. Mu? For Big Brother to be safe soon, I have to wrong you. Second Master Jing said coldly and raised his hand to knock on the door. This was the self-restraint that was engraved in his bones. But halfway through, he realized that he was here to catch someone and not to invite someone. To catch someone, I have to have the aura of catching someone. Second Master Jing retracted his hand and raised his chin as he majestically pushed open the wooden door of the courtyard. The scene in the courtyard was like this. Gu Yan was lying on a rattan chair to bask in the sun. Old Mr. Meng, who had just woken up from the knockout drug, was also lying on a rattan chair to bask in the sun. One was terminally ill and didn't have long to live, while the other was in a daze as he was still digesting the drug. Madame Nan was refining poison again. But as the saying goes, if one often walks by the river, how can one's shoes not be wet? She sneezed and the poison powder sprayed all over her face. She was successfully poisoned and now she was leaning against the wall and spitting out black blood. Master Lu had just fought with the Horse King and his right leg was cramping. He limped to the front courtyard. Second Master Jing looked at the courtyard full of old, weak and sick people and was dumbfounded. This is too miserable. It made him a little embarrassed to make a move. But then again, where is that kid? Although Second Master Jing had never seen Gu Jiao before, he had heard Second Madam's description. A teenager with a red birthmark on the left side of his face. This courtyard full of old, weak and sick people obviously wasn't him. Just as this thought flashed through his mind, Second Master Jing heard a burst of shocking sound. Someone was practicing martial arts and it was a spear. The sound came from the backyard. Second Master Jing couldn't help but look towards the direction of the rear courtyard. He was standing outside the front courtyard and was separated by the entire central room. He couldn't see the entire rear courtyard clearly. Only when Gu Jiao's figure appeared at the back door of the central room could he see her. However, this did not affect the shock that the young man brought to him. He could also tell that the youth's spear techniques were not flashy. Every thrust of the spear was like a swimming dragon, bringing with it the power to pierce through mountains and rivers. All of a sudden, Second Master Jing couldn't move. The youngster's figure only flashed past the door occasionally, but Second Master Jing felt an inexplicable excitement that he hadn't felt in a long time. He completely couldn't explain why. He even forgot that he was here to capture someone, and just silently admired the young man's marksmanship. Gu Jiao practiced the spear skills that the old marquis had taught her. As she practiced, she suddenly had an idea and used a move that she had never used before. This move was extremely powerful. It actually broke through the target in the backyard and flew towards the front yard. Second Master Jing's pupils shrank. Gu Jiao then realized that there was someone at the door. It was too late for her to draw her bow. She lifted her leg and kicked the quiver, causing an arrow to shoot out. Following that, she kicked her leg and the arrow hit the red tasseled spear, changing the direction of the red tasseled spear. The red tasseled spear whooshed and shot at the door beside Second Master Jing. Second Master Jing touched his cold neck. Just an inch and he would be nailed to the door. The old, weak and sick people in the courtyard couldn't even take care of themselves. After glancing at him, they went to sunbathe, suffer from Alzheimer's, get poisoned and go to fix their legs. Second Master Jing, Gu Jiao walked over. After practicing for so long, she was sweating profusely and her cheeks were flushed. She exuded the heroic spirit and vitality of a young man. Looking at the young man walking towards him, Second Master Jing couldn't help but be absent-minded for a moment. For no reason, the image of his brother-in-law walking towards him many years ago flashed through his mind. At that time, he was just a dandy young man in Shangdu who needed to be beaten. One time, he was caught red-handed by the eldest son of the Shenyuan family for causing trouble on the street. At that time, he didn't know that that fellow would become his brother-in-law. He bragged that he would fight with him for 100 moves. In the end, his brother-in-law really beat him up for 100 moves and he didn't have the strength to fight back. That day, when his brother-in-law walked towards him, he had the same look in his eyes, which reminded him of a wild wolf. The fear of being dominated by his brother-in-law surged into his heart. When Gu Jiao came in front of him, his whole body stiffened. "Who are you looking for?" Gu Jiao looked at him fixedly and asked. "I'm looking for you. I'm going to catch you so that divine Dr. Mu can vent his anger." "I'm passing by." Second Master Jing cleared his throat and said. Seeing Gu Jiao looking at him indifferently, his heart thumped, looking for some water. Gu Jiao pulled out the red tasseled spear from the door and the door cracked. He didn't know how many times this had happened this month. There were 2 carpenters at home, so he wasn't afraid. Gu Jiao took the red tasseled spear and went into the house to pour water for him. Second Master Jing weakly looked at the wooden door beside him. With another crack, the wooden door completely cracked into 2 halves and fell down. Second Master Jing patted his small chest. Oh my God, that gaze was too small. It was like his brother-in-law's. It scared him to death. Second Master Jing's fear towards his brother-in-law was bone deep. God knows how many times he had been beaten up by his brother-in-law. After his brother-in-law died in battle, his hands were trembling when he went to collect his brother-in-law's corpse. He always felt that his brother-in-law was going to come back to life and beat him up before he died. Gu Jiao poured a bowl of cold water and passed it to him. Second Master Jing looked at the broken bowl and curled his lips in disdain. He didn't want to drink at all. But when Second Master Jing met that gaze that was exactly the same as his brother-in-law's, he snatched it with both hands and gulped it down. Gu Jiao saw that he drank it so quickly and asked, "Do you want more?" "Of course not. I'm not here to drink water. Thank you," Second Master Jing said. After saying that, he hated that he couldn't slap himself. "Jing Shang, oh Jing Shang, you have to be a little more mature. Your brother-in-law has been dead for so many years. You're so timid just because you met someone who has the same gaze as him. Are you still the #1 debauchee in Shang City? Catch him. Tell him that if he dares to offend our Duke's family's godly doctor, he's dead meat. Gu Jiao poured a second bowl of water. I'm from Duke An's family, he said with a serious expression on his handsome face. Gu Jiao crossed her arms and looked at him indifferently. So? Second Master Jing felt guilty. I heard that you've treated my eldest brother's illness. Eldest brother? So, this person was the one who stopped Nangong Gongzi's violent act on the street this morning? Gu Jiao thought for a while. Are you here to pay the consultation fee? Second Master Jing choked. 500 taels. Gu Jiao said, fixed price. Second Master Jing. Second Master Jing walked out of the alley and sat on the horse carriage. He was a little confused. Hiss, is there a mistake? I'm here to catch someone. How come I didn't catch him and even lost 500 taels? The coachman ran over and looked behind Second Master Jing, asking, Second Master, where's the person you went to catch personally? Second Master Jing kicked him on the butt. Of all times, he touched a sore spot. Speaking of which, why do I think of my brother-in-law when I see him? Are you going to burn some paper money for your brother-in-law? Gu Jiao didn't know that Second Master Jing's heart was complicated and confused. She took the 500 taels and entered the courtyard. Gu Shaoshun came back from grocery shopping. Master Nan and Master Lu were either poisoned or crippled, so she was in charge of making dinner. She planned to stew a pot of pork ribs and was chopping the bones when Master Meng entered the house. Gu Jiao glanced at him. You're awake. She spoke in Zhao Nation's language. Master Meng looked at her strangely. After a while, he opened his mouth and spoke in Zhao Nation's language. Girl? It's really you. When he first opened his eyes, he wasn't fully awake. He looked at Gu Jiao and saw that she looked like the girl he used to play chess with in Zhao Nation, but he wasn't very sure. After basking in the sun for a whole afternoon and sweating all over, the effect of the medicine had dissipated. Now he was really sure. It's me. Gu Jiao nodded. The next day, after washing his face, Gu Jiao also recognized him. He was the old beggar who set up the chess game near the chess club. Gu Jiao went to find him after returning from the frontier fortress, thinking that he had passed away. Gu Jiao spoke to him in her own voice. Master Meng looked at Gu Jiao with a puzzled face. Why are you in Yen Kingdom? Studying? Gu Jiao asked. Why are you in Yen Kingdom? Begging? Master Meng said. Gu Jiao, Master Meng, they were all speechless. Master Nan and the others didn't know that Master Meng and Gu Jiao were old friends in Zhao Nation. They only thought that Master Meng was an ordinary old man in Chengdu. After dinner, Master Meng asked Gu Jiao to come to the front yard to play chess. 10 taels per game, Gu Jiao said. Master Meng was stunned. No, why is it still 10 taels per game? Gu Jiao hesitated. Then, 20 taels per game? Maybe the beggars in Yen Kingdom earned more money? Old Mr. Meng choked. Was that what he meant? With their current friendship, did they still need to talk about money? Master Meng gritted his teeth. I owe you first. He lost his money bag that night and had no money on him. Gu Jiao said, I'm running a small business. I don't accept credit. Master Meng, are you running a small business? Are you running a business without any capital? Also, girl, do you know who I am? Do you know how many people want to play chess with me and I don't agree? Gu Jiao said again, if you don't have money, you can pay with other things. Do you have anything valuable on you? Why do you sound like you're robbing me? Master Meng had already changed his clothes. He was wearing Gu Xiaoshuan's old clothes, but Master Lu didn't throw his things away. He rummaged through a pile of washed clothes and found a brocade pouch. He took out a token from the brocade pouch. Gu Jiao said, Here. Gu Jiao took it and looked at it. How much is an iron token worth? Master Meng said, This is not an ordinary iron token. It can be used as a talisman in the inner city. Don't you always sneak into the inner city? He had been unconscious at Gu Jiao's place for 2 days and heard some things. He knew that her brother was seriously ill and she had been looking for a doctor for him. Oh. Gu Jiao reluctantly accepted it. Then I'll play a game with you. Master Meng almost vomited blood. The token of the chess master of the 6 countries was only worth 1 game. The latest chapter of this book is not finished yet. For more exciting content, please scan the QR code below to download the app. Novels are updated faster. Millions of novels are free to read. Novels with content that can't be found on the internet are all available here. https://www.zhbqg.com/89642-826/1078888259. HTML Genius memorized the website address in 1 second. www.zhbqg.com Biku Gu mobile reading website, m. zhbqg.com. Chapter 642. The latest chapter of this book is not finished yet. For more exciting content, please scan the QR code below to download the app. Novels are updated at a faster rate. Millions of novels are free to read. Novels with content that can't be found online are all available here. After Second Master Jing returned from Gu Jiao's residence, the first thing he did was to ask Second Madam to prepare some paper money for him. He wanted to burn some paper money. Second Madam was confused. Who are you burning paper money for? Second Master Jing said, My brother-in-law. Second Madam choked. Who are you cursing? After a pause, she thought of something and said, No, you only have a younger brother-in-law. When did you have a brother-in-law? She was the eldest daughter in the family. She didn't have an older brother, only a younger brother. Second Master Jing straightened his back and said, My older brother's brother-in-law is my brother-in-law. Second Madam, yes, Second Madam remembered. When Second Master was young, he was a hooligan. Who knows how many times he was chased and beaten by the eldest son of the Xian Yuan family. Later on, when he found out that Xian Yuan Hao was his older brother's brother-in-law, in order to avoid being beaten, he followed suit and called him brother-in-law. In fact, there were so many sons of the Xian Yuan family. Although Xian Yuan Hao beat Second Master the most, he also protected Second Master the most. Therefore, Second Master was both afraid and respectful of Xian Yuan Hao. Why did you suddenly think of burning paper money for him? Second Madam asked. Second Master Jing frowned and asked, Don't you think that boy from Zhao country, his eyes look like your brother-in-law's? Second Madam said strangely, You mean Mu Qingchen's classmate? That swindling quack? Second Master Jing nodded. Wasn't he a swindler? Today, he cheated him of 500 taels. I don't think so. Second Madam shook her head. How can a person from a lower country look like a son of the Xian Yuan family? It's not his looks, it's his eyes. That kind of murderous look. Second Master Jing tried his best to explain, but Second Madam was still confused. Obviously, she didn't understand what he meant. Second Master Jing waved his hand. Forget it. You haven't been beaten by your brother-in-law. You don't understand. Of course, Second Madam didn't understand. She was a woman and only saw Xian Yuan Hao a few times. How could she pay attention to his eyes? Second Madam glared at her husband. I think you're bewitched? Did that brat have some kind of sorcery? Or did you let that brat put the goo in it? She actually said that the brat's eyes looked like Xian Yuan Hao's? How was this possible? Xian Yuan Hao was Xian Yuan Li's most outstanding son. He was brought along by Xian Yuan Li at the age of 7. He entered and exited the barracks and was familiar with the art of war. He followed his father into battle at the age of 12 and never lost a battle. That didn't seem right either. He had lost the last battle of his life and died after being pierced by 10,000 arrows. Second Madam's thoughts ran far away without her noticing. She was the one who said that she was possessed, but now she thought of Shenyuan Li's death. Second Master Jing seriously considered second old madam's words and felt that this possibility was not high. At that time, he was at the door and that brat was in the backyard. They were so far away, how could that brat put the goo in him? It doesn't matter. Go and get some paper money first. Second madam gave him a sidelong glance. Okay, I'll go prepare in a while, but if you don't catch her back, how will you explain it to divine Dr. Mu? Thinking about Mu Ru Xian, Second Master Jing had a headache. On the other side, Gu Jiao and old Mr. Meng sat at the stone table in the front yard and finished a game of chess. Old Mr. Meng began to explain the chess game. You see, if you didn't make this move, you might have one. Gu Jiao listened to the old man's recount of the chess game carefully. The old man had a good memory and his chess skills were really good. In the past, he hid his skills in Zhao country. Old Mr. Meng pinched the black chess piece and put it down. Here, or here, you can't live, so you made the right move. Gu Jiao said, you don't have to say it's right, just say it's wrong. Old Mr. Meng looked at Gu Jiao with appreciation. Her mentality was good. Thinking that this game of chess was exchanged with a token of the chess sage of the 6 countries, old Mr. Meng explained in detail, but it seemed that something was reversed. Do you remember what I said just now? Okay, then let's play another game, let's see if you can really master it. No, Gu Jiao said. I said I'd only play 1 round. Old Mr. Meng. I, the chess sage of the 6 countries, teach you how to play chess, and you dislike it. I don't even have so much patience with my own apprentice. Don't you know how to cherish it? When I leave, you'll regret it. Gu Jiao thought of something and asked him, when are you leaving? Old Mr. Meng's old blood was stuck in his throat. He took a deep breath and said angrily, your little brother Xiao Hei blew me up like this, and he didn't even let me recover before driving me away. Gu Jiao, oh. Old Mr. Meng secretly breathed a sigh of relief. Fortunately, he was knowledgeable and stabilized himself in time. If he really left, how could he find this girl to play chess? Gu Jiao said, walk the horse every day, food and accommodation are provided. Old Mr. Meng. Gu Jiao took the token that old Mr. Meng won by playing chess and returned to her room. The old man said that it could be used as a talisman. She had the talisman that Xiao Hang gave her, and the 2 things were completely different. A special talisman. Gu Jiao murmured. If the token that the old man gave her could really be used as a talisman in the inner city, then it would be much safer than using Gu Jiao talisman. Gu Jiao decided to test it at the inner city gate after school tomorrow. The next day, Gu Jiao got up before dawn and went to the backyard to practice the red tasseled spear for a while. Gu Xiaoshun only woke up after she finished practicing. After breakfast, the siblings set off for Tianqiong Academy. Their clothes were made. Gu Xiaoshun went to the academy to get them back yesterday, so they changed into Tianqiong Academy's uniform today. Sister, you look so good in our uniform. Gu Xiaoshun walked in front and looked at Gu Jiao as he walked backward. Gu Jiao agreed, I also think I look good. As soon as she finished speaking, her eyes darkened. Xiaoshun. It was too late. Gu Xiaoshun had already bumped into them. He was walking backward. In the past, there were not many people on this road. Who would have thought that there would be more than 10 people blocking the alley? Brother Qin. It's this guy. A young man with a bruised nose and swollen face pointed at Gu Jiao and said. Gu Jiao recognized him. He was the 5 Mountains Academy student that she had beaten into shrimp last time. She had heard Zhou Tong mention him later. This person was called Wu Feng, and he was from Shangdu. He was considered a moderate troublemaker in 5 Mountains Academy and had a group of brothers under him. Gu Jiao had never heard Zhou Tong mention this brother Qin. However, it seemed that he was not a kind person. Brother Qin grabbed Gu Xiaoshun's collar and coldly curled his lips. He looked at Gu Jiao and said, You're the one who bullied my brother? Gu Jiao looked at him indifferently without a trace of fear in her eyes. If you still want your hands, let go of him. Brother Qin laughed mockingly. He raised his hand and threw a punch at Gu Xiaoshuan's stomach. He was a martial artist and used almost 70% of his strength. This punch was enough to rupture Gu Xiaoshuan's spleen. It was just a fight. Even Gu Jiao had not been so ruthless when teaching Wu Feng and the others a lesson. Gu Jiao's eyes turned cold. Her fingertips moved and a silver needle flew out and pierced his wrist. His arm went numb and Gu Xiaoshun struggled free. "Catch him!" Brother Qin gritted his teeth and shouted. More than a dozen people in the alley rushed forward. Gu Jiao stepped forward and pulled Gu Xiaoshun behind her. She raised her leg and kicked the person who rushed at the front. He was sent flying and fell on 4 or 5 people. Gu Jiao directly stepped on them. Everyone felt like their ribs were broken. After stepping on them, Gu Jiao kicked Brother Qin, who had recovered, and sent him flying to the wall. He fell heavily on the ground. Gu Jiao walked over and stepped on his chest. He was about to get up, but she directly pressed him to the ground. Brother Qin did not expect this kid to be so fierce. He had brought more than a dozen people, but it was over before it even started. There were still 7 or 8 students from Wuyue Academy left. Seeing this, they did not dare to go forward. They were not new students. They were old students who had studied in the academy for many years. They had always been the ones bullying others. They had never been taught a lesson by a new student. Not to mention a new student from Tianqiong Academy. Tianqiong Academy was a literary academy. It was full of bookworms. Gu Jiao looked at him condescendingly. "Do you want your hand or your life?" Brother Qin's face was red from being stepped on. He looked at Gu Jiao fiercely. "Do you know who I am? My father is from the Nangong family." "Ah!" Crack. Gu Jiao broke his ribs. "Say it again. Who is your father?" "My father is from the Nangong family." "Ah!" Gu Jiao broke another one of his ribs. Gu Jiao's eyes suddenly emitted a biting cold murderous aura. She smiled evilly. "Say it again. Who is your father?" Brother Qin did not dare to say anything. He was scared silly by Gu Jiao. How could a young man who looked less than 17 years old be so terrifying? Gu Jiao looked at the silent crowd and said coldly, "Don't you people from Wuyue Academy appear around Tianqiong Academy in the future. If I'm unhappy, I will beat you up, like this." After she finished speaking, she stepped on Brother Qin again. Crack. 2 more of his ribs were broken. He fainted on the spot. Digression, the 3rd night watch is here. Is there a monthly ticket for me to sneak in? The latest chapter of this book is not finished yet. For more exciting content, please scan the QR code below to download the app. Novels are updated faster and more complete. Millions of novels are free to read. Novels with content that can't be found on the internet are all available here. https://www.zhbqg.com/89642/826/1078855017. HTML Genius memorized the website address in 1 second. www.zhbqg.com Biku Pavilion Mobile Reading Website. zhbqg.com. Chapter 643. The latest chapter of this book is not finished yet. For more exciting content, please scan the QR code below to download the app. Novels are updated faster and more frequently. Millions of novels are free to read. Novels with content that can't be found on the internet are all available here. These people were stunned by Gu Jiao's actions. Who said that the students of Tianqiong Academy were all nerds and easy to bully? Open your eyes wide and take a look. Is this still a nerd? What kind of nerd would be so ruthless? Wuyue Academy was a martial arts academy and everyone there was a martial arts practitioner. Yet, they couldn't even defeat a freshman from Tianqiong Academy. Where could they go to find reason? After Gu Jiao dealt with these students, she left with Gu Xiaoshun. "Sister, will they complain?" Gu Shaoshun asked. Logically speaking, they wouldn't. The main reason was that these people were shameless. If word got out that they were beaten up by a scholar, they wouldn't care about their reputation anymore. Gu Zhao's guess was right. None of these people were shameless enough to spread the news. However, it just so happened that the person they beat up was seen by the parent of a Wuyue Academy student who was passing by. The parent immediately informed Wuyue Academy. Before noon, the dean of Wuyue Academy and 2 teachers brought a few injured students into Qianqiong Academy. Dean Sen of the Qianqiong Academy was on duty and watering his beloved potted peony. When he heard his servant report that the people from the Wuyue Academy were here, his first reaction was, "Our academy students are being bullied by them again?" These people from Wuyue Academy were shameless and tyrannical. There weren't many academies nearby that hadn't been tortured by them. It wasn't that they could bully anyone. No one dared to provoke a noble young master like Mu Qingchen. However, there were thousands of students in the academy. Who could guarantee that every one of them was Mu Qingchen? The servant said embarrassedly, "It seems like our students beat up their students." Dean Sen was speechless. This was the first time Dean Wu of Wuyue Academy encountered such a situation. Usually, it was others who complained to their academy. Today, the tables had turned. They actually went to complain to others. In Dean Sen's duty room, Dean Wu let Dean Sen and the other teachers of the Qianqiong Academy who didn't have classes in the morning take a look at the 8 students he had brought. These 8 students were all involved in the fight in the morning. Without exception, their faces were all bruised and swollen. One of them was seriously injured and sent to the clinic. He couldn't get out of bed at all, so he didn't come to the scene. "Look. This is what your Qianqiong Academy has done," Dean Wu said coldly. Dean Sen's eyes lit up. Was it really done by a student of our academy? Wu Fuzi cleared his throat. Cough. Principal Tsun's expression turned cold as he sternly said, "You said it was done by a student of our academy? What evidence do you have?" Dean Wu pointed at the group of bruised and swollen students and said angrily, "They are the evidence." "Who did it?" President Sen whispered to Wu Fuzi. Wu Fuzi's lips didn't move. He squeezed out a voice that only the 2 of them could hear. "They said it was a freshman with a birthmark on his face. He should be Xiao Lulang from Clear Heart Hall. Anyone who came to the academy was a student of the academy." When Wu Fuzi differentiated them, he didn't say which country they were from. He just said they were from a certain hall. This name sounded familiar. Dean Sen frowned and thought for a moment. "Is he the freshman who went to the brothel on his first day here and got a demerit point?" Wu Fuzi said. "Yes, that's him." He paused and then added, "He was also the one who tamed the Horse King." When the Horse King was mentioned, Dean Sen remembered how he was almost trampled to death by the Horse King. His face darkened. Dean Wu said coldly, "Qianqiong Academy must give us an explanation today." Dean Sen laughed. "What explanation do you want?" Dean Wu said, "You can't afford to be a teacher. Your academy has an unshirkable responsibility for producing such a student. You must compensate us for all the medical expenses and losses. Also, you must apologize to our academy. That student must also apologize to the student who was injured by him. Finally, this kind of lawless person doesn't deserve to be a student of Shang. Do its better to expel him." A teacher from Qianqiong Academy whose surname was Yang couldn't stand it anymore. "Isn't Wuyue Academy's hand a bit too far? How we deal with our students is our academy's business. It's not up to you to interfere. What's more, haven't the students of the academy caused any trouble outside? What did you say at that time? It was just a student who was impulsive and let his emotions affect his decisions. Why do you have to make such a big fuss? If you make a big fuss, this kid's future will be ruined. Now you're not afraid of ruining his future?" Wu Fuzi secretly gave his colleague a thumbs up. As expected of a teacher who taught policy, his debating skills were very good. The teachers from Wuyue Academy were choked. Their academy had always been domineering. If they bullied others, they would turn the matter into a small one. It was normal for them to act shamelessly and play Tai Chi. Dean Wu suddenly thought of the crux of the matter. But no one is as ruthless as you. Do you know that there's a student in our academy who's almost dead? Teacher Yang from Tianqiong Academy said, just because you say it's our students who did it, does it mean it's our students? Do you think your dozen or so martial arts students can't beat a new student from our academy? No one will believe it if this gets out, right? The faces of the people from Wuyue Academy all turned red. Dean Wu was so angry that he became muddle-headed. Only now did he realize that more than 10 martial arts students had been defeated by a new student. It was so embarrassing. Dean Sun said, "All right, go and call that Xiao Lulang over. Let's hear what he has to say." Gu Jiao came over with Gu Xiaoshun. After all, according to the people from Wuyue Academy, Xiao Lulang had a little accomplice who didn't really fight. Dean Sun looked at Gu Jiao and asked, "They said that you beat them up. Do you have anything to say?" Gu Jiao glanced at them coldly. The group of Wuyue Academy students trembled like mice that had seen a cat. Dean Wu glared at the students of his academy. "What are you afraid of?" he thought. Could it be more embarrassing? Gu Xiaoshun was about to say, "Dean Sun, they started it first. There's someone called Brother Qin among them. He caught me and wanted to beat me up. Xiao Lulang attacked." However, Gu Jiao said without changing her expression, "I don't know them. I've never seen them before. I've never beaten them up." The students from Wuyue Academy were stunned. Was she that shameless? She had already beaten them up and she still didn't admit it? Where was the courage you had when you pinched us to death? Did you have the courage to step on Brother Qin's chest and ask for his life or his hand? If you have the ability, continue to fight. Gu Jiao, I'm not stupid. You can fight all you want. It's not worth it to fight the dean. You'll get a demerit. She was Xiao Lulang, the model student. Dean Wu was used to this kind of trick. The only difference was that they used to fool others. This was the first time someone used this kind of trick to fool them. Dean Wu said angrily, "You're lying." Gu Jiao looked at him indifferently. "How do you know I'm lying?" "You know so well. Have you done it before? Are you an old hand?" Dean Wu was so angry that he wanted to vomit blood. Whatever his sister said was right. Gu Xiaoshun immediately changed the topic and said seriously, "That's right. We didn't even see you today. Who knows who beat you up? You just have to blame it on us." Dean Wu was so angry that he rose to heaven. "Are you that great? Why do you have to blame it on you? You have to weigh your own weight. You're just two inferior people. What's there for us to spend so much effort to slander and scheme against you?" What he said made sense. Who knew that Gu Jiao didn't even lift her eyelids and said without a guilty conscience, "Then you have to ask yourselves, who knows what kind of evil ideas you have in your stomach?" Dean Wu was so angry that his whole body was trembling. You two are simply reversing right and wrong, twisting words and forcing logic, full of nonsense. A teacher from Wuyue Academy walked forward and looked at Gu Jiao. "You said that you didn't beat them up. Do you have evidence to prove your innocence?" "Yes." Suddenly, a young man's resolute voice came from outside the door. It was Zhou Tong. Zhou Tong saluted Dean Sun and the teachers of Tianqiong Academy in the room on duty and said, "Dean Sun, teachers, Xiao Lulang was resting in his room last night. He didn't leave the academy at all. I can testify." As soon as he finished speaking, another student of Clear Heart Hall walked over and said, "I can also testify." "Me too." The third student of Clear Heart Hall. Then, the fourth, the fifth. Almost all the students of Clear Heart Hall came over. Yesterday, the academy had a break. We had an appointment with Xiao Lulang to play polo in the pasture. We played a bit late and drank a few cups at night. Then we went fishing. On the way back, we bought some dried vegetable pancakes from a shop on the east side of 3 Flower Street. In the middle of the night, I couldn't sleep. When I went to the washroom, I saw that the lights in Xiao Liolong's room were still on. I went in to say hello. He wasn't feeling well in the morning. I bought him a bowl of porridge and sent it to his room. He spilled the porridge. The group of people spoke very vividly, as if Xiao Lulang had really been with everyone last night. Flaws were impossible. If so many people couldn't even make up a story, how could these literary students write policy essays and eight-legged essays? They couldn't beat you in a fight, but they couldn't make up a story. The students of Five Mountains Academy were all dumbfounded. Dean Wu said angrily, "You colluded with each other. Of course, people from your own academy will cover up for your own students." Zhou Tong put one hand behind his back and said calmly, "If our testimonies are the same, then we're covering up for each other. What about you slandering our academy together? Your testimonies are testimonies, but our testimonies aren't? How about this? Let's directly report this to the authorities and let them decide. We can also let the world see how a freshman from our Chenxiong Academy defeated so many students from your Wuyue Academy with his own strength. Deanson, let's open a martial arts class. This is a great opportunity for Chenxiong Academy to make a name for itself. After all, the students of Chenxiong Academy who have been teaching for several years can't even compare to the freshmen who have been teaching for 3 days." These literary students were really good at talking. Every sentence hit the nail on the head. Dean Wu's face turned green and red. To put it bluntly, he couldn't make a big deal out of it. He couldn't afford to lose face. At this moment, he already regretted asking for an explanation. Wasn't this asking for humiliation? In the end, the people of Five Mountains Academy didn't get any explanation. They were still angry. They gritted their teeth and walked away with a dark face. However, before they left, Dean Wu of Five Mountains Academy stopped and looked back at Gu Jiao coldly. No one knew if he was talking to Gu Jiao or everyone in Tianqiong Academy. "Do you really think this matter is over? You probably don't know that Luo Qin's father is the deputy general of the Nangong family. Our academy can let it go, but the Nangong family... Dean Wu, you don't have to worry about the Nangong family." A deep and clear voice sounded from outside the door. Everyone looked in the direction of the voice and saw Mu Qingchen, who was wearing a blue and white academy uniform, walking over calmly. "Mu Qingchen?" Dean Wu frowned. Mu Qingchen cupped his hands at Dean Sen and walked into the duty room. He stood beside Gu Jiao and said, "Xiao Lulang is a student of Chenxiong Academy. Please tell Luo Qin that I, Mu Qingchen, don't care about a mere deputy general of the Nangong family." As soon as these words came out, everyone's hearts trembled. Mu Qingchen was the leader of the 4 great young masters of Chengdu. His father was from the Su family, which was ranked 9th. His mother was from the Mu family, which was ranked 5th. His great-aunt was the Wang family, which was ranked 3rd. The military power of the Shenyuan family was divided into 4 families: the Nangong family, the Han family, the Wang family, and the Mu family. This showed how noble Mu Qingchen's identity was. Dean Wu didn't say anything else and left with a gloomy face. "Dean, we will also leave first." Mu Qingchen said to Deanson, "Wait." Deanson stopped all the students except Mu Qingchen. "Go back and copy the Analects of Confucius. Don't miss a single word." These little bastards were lying to the heavens. Did they think he couldn't see through them? Deanson looked at Gu Jiao and said, "And you, Xiao Lulang, you will be recorded as a demerit." If he didn't record a demerit, he would hit him again next time. When they came out of the duty room, the morning class was over. "Do you want to eat?" Mu Qingchen asked. Gu Jiao was a little depressed when she thought about being recorded again. However, she still had to eat. "Yes," she replied indifferently. "Didn't you go out to do something? Why are you back so soon?" "It's done." Gu Jiao noticed that he was holding a bag in his hand. "Your stuff is going to fall out." Gu Jiao pointed at his bag. As soon as she said that, the little doll in Mu Qingchen's bag couldn't withstand the force and fell out. Mu Qingchen quickly caught it and stuffed it back into the bag without showing it to Gu Jiao. Gu Jiao looked at him strangely. He hesitated for a moment before explaining, "A childhood playmate gave it to me." Gu Jiao, "Oh." It was a little doll. She had seen it, and it was quite ugly. By the way, do you recognize this? Gu Jiao took out a token and handed it to him. She had planned to try it out herself, but since Mu Qingchen was here, it wouldn't hurt to ask him. Mu Qingchen's expression changed when he saw the bronze token. Why do you have this? Gu Jiao rolled her eyes. I do have it. Can I enter the inner city with it? Mu Qingchen said indifferently. You could have. Let alone the inner city, you could have even entered the State Preceptor Hall. But now the owner of this token is missing, so you'd better not use it. Gu Jiao said, Can I enter the State Preceptor Hall? Mu Qingchen. Is that my point? Mu Qingchen said earnestly, No matter how you got it, you'd better not take it out. Otherwise, you'll be arrested as an assassin. Gu Jiao asked, Then, who is the owner of this token? Mu Qingchen paused and said seriously, The chess master of the 6 kingdoms, Mr. Meng. An old man. Gu Jiao touched her chin. Has he been to the state of Zhao? Has he been a beggar? Has he spent money to play chess with others? Mu Qingchen looked at Gu Jiao as if she was an idiot. Are you talking about Mr. Meng? He hasn't been to the state of Zhao. Also, do you know how honorable Mr. Meng is? I want to play chess with him, but I can't even use money. Being a beggar? What do you think? Gu Jiao nodded seriously. I don't think it's possible. By the way, do many people know Mr. Meng? Mu Qingchen shook his head. Mr. Meng doesn't like to deal with people. Not many people have seen him. When he came to the academy to play chess last time, I just watched him through a curtain. I didn't see his face. Gu Jiao asked again, Haven't the people of the State Preceptor Hall seen him? Mu Qingchen thought carefully and said, The State Preceptor probably saw him. As for the other disciples, they only know his carriage and token. Gu Jiao touched her chin. I see. I understand. I understand everything. Mu Qingchen looked at her in confusion. What do you understand? Gu Jiao patted him on the shoulder. Help me ask for leave this afternoon. Mu Qingchen frowned and looked at her hand. Where are you going? The State Preceptor Hall. You will be caught if you take this token to the State Preceptor Hall. Gu Jiao rushed back to the house as fast as she could. She led the horse out, put on the reins and shafts, and dragged the little old man who was lying in the yard and enjoying the sun side by side with Gu Yan into the carriage. Mr. Meng was confused. What are you doing? Gu Jiao said seriously, Pretend to be someone for me and take me to the State Preceptor Hall. Pretend to be who? The chess sage of the 6 kingdoms. Mr. Meng, the real chess sage of the 6 kingdoms, was speechless. The latest chapter of this book is not finished yet. For more exciting content, please scan the QR code below to download the app. The novel is more complete and updated faster. Millions of novels are free to read. There are all kinds of novels that can't be found on the internet. https://www.zhbqg.com/8964289642826/1078713000. HTML Genius remembered the website address in 1 second. www.zhbqg.com Bikuj mobile reading website. zhbqg.com. You're tuning in to the Narrate and Escape YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.